Welcome everybody to yet another weekly episode of Snooze Button, Run Button's weekly morning live show where we talk for a bunch and then play a game for a bunch. This is the May the 4th edition of 2021, and May the 4th be with you, Keith. And May the 4th...
and also with you. Lift up your hearts, lift them up to the Lord.
And with your spirit. And May the 4th to everyone across... I was going to say everyone listening, but really everyone on this planet of ours. Because while we are separated by distance and ideology, the one thing that unites all of us is a desperate need to escape reality at every possible turn. And doesn't Star Wars grant that to us? I love democracy and the Republic.
That's not a bad That's not a bad sheave.
I know it's not. That's just such a that was okay. So I didn't plan this for Star Wars Day. In fact, if we had planned this for Star Wars Day, we would have done last week's episode today. We did a Star Wars episode last week.
Or the week before that, or the week before that.
Yeah, I guess we will just do a Star Wars episode.
If we talk about Star Wars today, it will be one full month of talking about Star Wars.
And I'm really, and for anybody who didn't want that, I'm really sorry, but since the last time we recorded,
I'm really sorry you're like that. I'm really sorry you're the kind of person that wouldn't want that.
Yeah, I'm really sorry that I'm really sorry that you don't want that, but you continue to abuse yourself by watching Run Button, because it's all we're here to give you. I did watch all the Star Wars prequels since the last time.
Right, on the weekend we did some Patreon stuff, and you said, hey, I watched all the Star Wars prequels, and I said, good, let's talk about it, and you said no.
Well, that's because
we have to talk about it on Snooze.
Yeah,
which was basically like dangling a present in front of a child.
I know.
Being like, I got you a gift, and you're like, okay, let's open it, and being like, no, you can have it next week.
Right, you're right. It was like dangling a present in front of a child, except that it wasn't a child. It was a professional adult who does a weekly talk show, and so I figured we could wait 2 days and then talk about it.
Why even tell me?
Because I'm sick. Because I'm sick in the head, Keith.
It's the only time you've ever, in a decade of shows, is the only time you've ever introduced a topic and then held off on discussing it.
That's not true at all.
Okay, well, I'll wait honestly, for the evidence of that happening.
Here's the thing. If you said that I've never been able to just keep a topic to myself and not mention it until it's time, that I'd agree with. Bringing up something... like talking about a subject I can't talk about until later sounds like exactly the kind of shit that I would do.
No.
Because
but
I also
bringing it up
can't
and
wait.
then following through with not talking about it is the thing.
Is the thing that I've never done.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's maybe fair. Well, it was Star Wars Day, Keith. Oh, may the 4th be with us all and with your spirit.
I wouldn't have even known it was Star Wars Day until you said it.
I didn't. It was literally because I called you to. No. Sorry. I went on Twitter to tweet that we were doing the show, and people were tweeting about Star Wars, and that's why I saw it.
Got it.
So I didn't even plan this. The Force just flows through me, everybody.
Well, you have a higher than average midichlorian count.
It's true. It is really true. It's possible even, Keith, that I was conceived by the midichlorians.
Do you think so? You were talking about your dad just last week.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing though. What I watched was I watched my Blu-rays again. Like I said, the most edited versions, the most George Lucas did versions. Though my understanding is I think they just took those extra George Lucas versions, and those are just the versions that Disney shows you. Like they literally made like no value judgment on any of the changes that were ever made to those movies.
Why would Disney make a value judgment?
I know. It's like it's so obvious now in retrospect. Like, of course they wouldn't do, and it's incredible.
They built
honestly.
a whole Star Wars theme park, and you can go to the theme park and like pretend to be a Padawan building a lightsaber,
And you can
which
drink
sounds
blue
like
milk,
take off my hating Disney hat. It sounds like exactly what I've wanted my entire life, is to build a lightsaber. But then the lightsabers that they have you build are trash.
I don't know.
Like,
You talk
they
about
sound like shit. The gyroscope's terrible. The lighting is bad.
Of course it is.
Yeah, but it's $200 or some shit. It's crazy.
But anyways, so like I mentioned this before, the very weird dialogue changes that they will make. I guess this one's less weird and more interesting because there was in the Phantom Menace, there's that element where Anakin has no father. It was an immaculate conception. And when Qui-Gon reports this to the Jedi Council, he says, and I forgot he says this, he says, it's possible he was conceived by the Force. Like, I thought they left that, I thought they left that dangling. No, they say it directly. It's possible he was conceived by the Force.
Again, with the prophecy, they don't talk about it in those terms, but there's definitely a sort of tension between Qui-Gon and the Council that he believes something more strongly than they do about Force.
That
like, he has bought into the religiosity of the Force in a way that the Jedi Council hasn't, which is kind of funny. He says something about that he fulfills a prophecy, and they go like, "Oh, so you believe in the prophecy?" And he's like, "I'm just saying he could." And Mace Windu's like, "You've already revealed that you do."
Right.
Like, there's a little bit of tension there.
Yeah. But in this version, they've changed that line.
No way.
It's no longer. It's no longer. Yeah. It's sick. It's no longer that it's possible he was conceived by the Force. He now says it's possible he was conceived by
his mother knows the Force in the biblical way. That's what he said.
No. He says it's possible he was conceived by the midichlorians. Weird, right?
Okay.
It's very weird. It almost seems like my read on it was maybe people got mad about the religiosity of it, and so he's trying to make it sound more science-y or something by being like, it wasn't the Force, it's the midichlorians, because the midichlorians are like microorganisms in your body. Yeah, what is the difference? I don't know. It also,
the midichlorians are microorganisms that carry what the Force is. It is
now this. Wait, I have one more theory. This one just popped into my head like while we were recording this one. It was like, remember how I said like they added in Darth Vader yelling no into the Return of the Jedi, and it's like I can't shake the idea that it's like some kind of like weird dig at like people that were mad about him yelling no in Revenge of the Sith. Like, what if it's just like him adding in more references to midichlorians because of the people who are mad about midichlorians? I like the idea that these final cuts are like,
what I think it is?
George Lucas at his most petty.
Here's what I think it is. I'm gonna give you my honest take on this, which is that
give me your honest take while I walk away for a moment.
Say again. Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk away.
It's just a better line. Here's the problem. Kylie likes to prejudge how long she thinks the thing I'm about to say is, and always thinks it's going to be longer than it is. Because all I was gonna say was, it's just a better line.
Well, I just thought maybe you could stretch a little bit.
I can I can stretch. It's like I just think it's possible he was conceived by the Force is way goofier of a thing to say. And even though people like the Force and think midichlorians are lame, being like, oh, he was conceived by the midichlorians, I just think there's something. I just think it sounds better. I think it's not touching the Force. It's separating the Force from the midichlorians a little bit. I just think overall it's a less goofy way of saying basically the same thing. And
yeah, I buy this. Like at least if you were like offended by the concept of like the Force having a will and acting on its own, you could be like, okay, that's not what happened. It was the midichlorians.
Right. Unfortunately, that's the whole premise of the Force and always has been. But
what a strange thing. And of course, so I when I rewatched The Phantom Menace, this is in my head. When the midichlorian thing comes up again, it's like, and these, I think one of the biggest flaws with these prequel movies, and this, I admit, could totally be at least aided by the fact that I just know a bunch about the production of these movies, and so I can't help but let that knowledge kind of color the way I experience these movies a little bit, but I see a lot of these scripts are filled with choices where something will happen, and all movies have this to a certain degree, but something will happen.
All movies have scripts full of choices.
They all have scripts full of choices.
In some way, a script is a million little choices.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something will happen that doesn't make a lot of sense. Red letter media would probably be like, why is Qui-Gon doing that? It doesn't make sense. It's not logical, or whatever.
Can you give me an example?
I will give the example of okay, here's an example. I did watch a little bit of the red letter media reviews, and they were both worse than I remembered and had some worse criticism than I remembered. And you were right that the Phantom Menace review was front loaded, I think accidentally front loaded with bad criticism, and its better criticism comes out later on. So you were right about that. Yeah, great. But I was absolutely correct. I was absolutely correct about the part where those videos have actual stuff that you would call movie criticism in a way that CinemaSins totally doesn't.
But we do know how people watch videos on the internet, and how those bad criticisms that are front loaded spread outward like a horrible thought virus to the mad nerds.
So I'll give here's an example. What I mean is, so these all movies, but especially the prequels, are filled with choices where in reality they don't make 100% sense, but you just kind of understand them as well, the movie needs to move along. Sometimes you just don't have enough run time to perfectly explain things, so you just have to cut a corner and expect that the audience will go with it.
This is what you're describing. Basically, is the fundamental
of movie
premise
making.
of film. Wait, sorry, what's that?
Of movie making.
Right. This is the suspension of disbelief. It is a core thing that every movie has to deal with, because you are not making a universe, you are making a movie.
Sure. It's just that I think these movies are filled with just so many of these moments that just feel I just can't stop picturing him as just honestly kind of just older and lazier than he was when he was younger. Every time he gets to this part, George Lucas. I just imagine him writing the movie, and just every time he gets to one of these moments going, that's fine. That just works. It's a movie. It's Star Wars. And it and I can't figure out, is the midichlorians something where George Lucas really thought it was interesting and cared about it as a concept, or was it just a way to how do we establish that Anakin is definitely amazing with the Force? Well, we'll have him do a blood test and we'll just go, yeah, the Force is all up in his blood. I can't figure out if that's what that scene is or not. That's how I always read it, and I just wow, you poisoned your whole fiction because you wanted a shorthand for one scene. It's that kind of stuff that really rubs me the wrong way about the prequels. It feels like those things crop up a lot.
Well, I mean, I don't know that there's anyone that really likes the midichlorian thing. I think so. The thing that I had always heard was George Lucas wanted more science fiction.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. I just don't. It strikes me as something that he probably thought was a good idea. I mean, I don't look at those movies and think that anything that's being done is being done because he's older and lazier. It strikes me as I think it's part of it is a singular obsession with with new filmmaking technology because he's a stupid nerd that doesn't understand that the way he did it was the way that people wanted to see it, and that
well, go ahead. Sorry.
But it's hard to discount. It's hard to discount those. Like, I look at the prequels, and what I feel in my heart is like the death of a style of filmmaking that I think is just genuinely better. Like, I don't have time for a nuance here. It's just better to have real things on film instead of CGI things, unless what you're doing is making a CGI movie, or where the interplay of CGI things and real things is like part of it. Like if someone were like a CG version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit or whatever. Like if that, like that's a different. And then, but what my brain knows is that George Lucas invented the last 20 years of cinema with the Phantom Menace. That's what he did. He created, or he was the guy that owned the thing that created the last 20 years of movies.
I have something about this. Is that
my point is that it's where you go, like the decisions that George Lucas is making, is he just not care about Star Wars, or he just not think it's important to be thorough? What I see is like an obsession with the technology side of the film that he's making, to the point where like it is more important to put that in the movie than to do other parts of the movie that I think caused the prequels overall to suffer. Yeah, not out of laziness, but out of like being a guy who owns technology that then gets sold to other companies. Like the Phantom Menace is why George Lucas is a billionaire.
All right, I know you get very impassioned about Star Wars. You've been talking for a very long time without a pause. I don't know if you realize.
I don't know that I had a medium-sized point to make.
I've tried to say like 15 different things. I thought I was talking about my experience watching these movies.
Now I'm done, and now you can go. I don't think that what I said was that long.
So yeah, I don't mean to say that I think. Well, speaking about the Phantom Menace, I don't think that movie feels late. Like I don't watch the Phantom Menace and go, "Oh, this is a lazy movie," just in that specific circumstance. Like
there's points where things
at points it's the scripting. Specifically, the scripting has parts of it that I think the scripting feels absolutely the laziest of the whole movie. It's part of the thing that baffles me about the Phantom Menace is there's, like you say, so much effort put into what you're seeing on the screen. It's just so little effort sometimes is felt by me in the words you're hearing said. It's frustrating. But so rewatching the original trilogy and the prequels, the one thing that was absolutely apparent to me is you're totally right. Practical effects, like at this point, we just have enough distance from the invention of CGI techniques and all this stuff to just look at it and say, practical effects are better. They just look great and they hold up for years. And even when you look at it and in your, suspension of disbelief, like if you're being a dingus, you can look at it and go, oh, it's, I know that that's a fake model or that's a rubber suit or whatever. But a rubber suit is still real. It's made of real rubber.
It's been a real thing.
Yeah. And so it just looks better.
And I don't want to. Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, I was going to say that's what I was so impressed about with the Phantom Menace is that, and I don't know if this is just George Lucas not having enough faith in his new digital techniques or whatever, but the Phantom Menace, and I knew this going in, but it really it's hard for me to think of it as part of a whole with the prequels because it was so clearly produced in a totally different way from episode 2 and 3 that seems to me a lot more like the original trilogies where there's tons of practical effects, real locations, it just, so much of this movie just looks great. And the CG stuff, it's kind of dated. It sort of pops out here and there. but it doesn't really matter because so much of what's on screen is just real. It looks great. And
there's a lot of like big set PC CG stuff,
and some of the CG stuff looks incredible. The Sebulba pod crash is like, it's basically my favorite on-screen crash. Like, it just looks incredible, and like the sound, like all the sound design of the pod racers is all fantastic. And
I think where a lot of progress has been made in texture detail, it's obvious where you look at like Jar Jar's skin and you go like, in 2021 the detail on this skin would look a lot better, probably. But also the motion capture on Jar Jar is excellent. Like the motion capture is as good as anything could be. Well, like, there's only a couple years after this that they did that. Andy Serkis was Gollum in Lord of the Rings, which is like the best case scenario CGI performance maybe ever done.
I will, I that's maybe true. I will say I don't think neither of those examples are technically motion capture, because they were just filming a live action actor and then just painting CGI over it, which is why it looks so great. It's why Jar Jar
does that not count as motion capture? I mean, there's no motion capture suit, but
motion capture is when you have the ping pong balls all over your body. But Gollum and Jar Jar weren't that. Gollum and Jar Jar was having a physical actor on set interacting with the live action actors and then painting a CGI character over that. And that's how you get that incredible sense of Jar Jar really being there, because he really was there.
Isn't the motion capture with the ping pong balls the same thing, but they have ping pong balls? It's a person that's doing something being filmed and they paint over the ping pong balls are just more accurate.
Well, yes and no. The ping pong balls are actual 3D motion sensors that are being tracked in 3D space. So they're getting it's producing an actual digital artifact that then does need to have a lot of work done to it to make it usable. But in like Jar Jar, they literally just pointed a movie camera at a guy in a rubber hat, and then later they put Jar Jar over that.
So one of them is capturing a physical performance with a camera, and one of them is capturing a physical performance with a motion sensor,
and usually also a camera at the same time. But yeah,
okay.
And this is how
would you call the thing that Jar Jar Binks is except motion besides motion capture?
I don't know what the term is for it. I think understanding the distinction, I don't feel like it's not. I mean, it is not motion capture. It is motion capture in a literal way, in that it's using a camera to capture motion and then drawing over it with CG. It's image capture is the thing.
Sure.
Like I'm not trying to be a dick or anything. It's just motion capture is that thing where it's literally recording data numbers about the motion happening. That's why it's called motion capture. Term for Gollum Jar Jar technique. That'll definitely
work.
If that doesn't produce Google results, I mean, what is that even? The first one, how to open a jar like a boss. I want to know how to open a Jar Jar like a boss nass. Yeah, that's nope. Jar testing. That's not anything. How to process jam jars.
Modern day filmmaking has made great technical achievements. One integral aspect, which is motion capture technology, pioneered by George Lucas and the team of Star Wars: Phantom Menace.
What?
Yeah, motion capture.
Disgusting.
Motion capture.
I'm disgusted. Well, hang on. Motion capture for what though? It doesn't say for Jar Jar.
It did say Jar Jar later on in the thing. I just stopped reading.
I'm disgusted by this. Listen, we all know that
maybe you should have thought about not knowing what the thing was called before saying it definitely wasn't the other thing.
Whatever.
I'm fine with there being another word for it, but I want it known that it is literally motion capture.
It's just a different thing. It's not
just a different kind of motion.
I'll fight you. Anyways, probably right around the finale of the pod race in Phantom Menace.
Are you sure that Circus wasn't wearing the ping pongs? I'm almost positive I remember seeing a picture of him with a suit with ping pongs on.
So there totally might have been certain scenes where they wanted the extra fidelity, and so they did do that. But I've watched all of those like hours and hours of behind the scenes stuff, and mostly he was just wearing like a skin tight white onesie. And he might have actually. I was
Circus.
I was gonna say maybe he had one of those like GoPros capturing his face the whole time. But you think even back then they didn't even like quite realize that that's what they wanted. They probably didn't do that till The Hobbit. That was so impressive to me was watching the behind the scenes stuff and realizing those Gollum scenes were just a big weirdo crawling around on his hands and just in a big onesie. Like if you've seen those green screen suits, but white.
Yeah.
It's like one of those but white, and it looks so silly. And it's funny though because he's so into it and he's so physical with his performance that the white onesie just gets dirtier and dirtier and dirtier as production goes on. It looked disgusting. Listen, no one's claiming Andy Serkis doesn't commit to a role. Nobody's accusing him of that.
Yeah. Well, so point aside, what were we fucking talking about?
All right. Well, I will say that Phantom Menace, still my favorite of the prequels. It's a great movie mostly. I will say around the finale of
did you just say it's a great movie mostly?
It's a great movie mostly.
That's important. You tried to say it really fast.
Shut the fuck up. It's because I had more.
Okay.
I had more.
Okay.
Around the finale of the pod race, I was like, it was dawning on me. I was like, oh fuck. I'm gonna have to go on Snooze button and I'm gonna have to dig out those poisonous words that I don't want to say. I'm gonna have to say, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying this. This is just an example of something I would have had to say for real and it would have killed me. I would have had to say something like, Keith, you were right. The Phantom Menace is just a great movie. I think that's all of it.
Yeah.
But I really feel like that movie kind of it runs out of steam near the end. It starts to get a little boring, and the whole stuff with like the Gungans and Boss Nass is like really embarrassing. Like this very toothless, like, hey, let's all get together and work together or whatever. Like Boss Nass is all like. It's so funny. It's like it presents the Gungans and the Naboo as like basically like a European colonial versus natives kind of thing, where at the very best the Naboo ignore them and pretend they don't exist, right? And we don't know really much about their relationship other than they mostly ignore each other and don't seem to care for each other. And
I have the lore of them, which is that the Gungans obviously are the native inhabitants of Naboo, and when who they call Nabooians show up, they show up, they start a colony, and the Gungans go, fuck these guys, we're gonna go underwater, and they moved underwater. Mm-hmm. So that is the sort of background, and so I guess there's some level of diplomacy that's tried, and surprise, surprise, the Nabooians are assholes to the Gungans, and so the Gungans are like, these fucking assholes think we're morons. Meanwhile, they have maybe the coolest and most effective army that I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie.
Is maybe the reason they thought they were so dumb is because they don't have a language. Their language is just English, but said stupid.
Well, they never show what their actual language is.
Okay. I mean, they do show Gungans talking to each other.
Yeah.
And, they have a scene early on where Obi-Wan says to Boss Nass, like,
I mean, it's galactic basic. It is.
I know. He says, you and the Naboo, which of course
they have ships.
Dude, you're interrupting me so much. They have the. You already said it, but yeah, like the fact that the planet is called Naboo because that's what the humans call it, and the Gungans even call them the Naboo, but then the movie tries to be like, Obi-Wan is like, you and the Naboo form a symbiote circle. You have to understand this. What happens to you, one of you will affect the other. And I'm like, the thing about their societies is they live separately. Like, let's be honest, the only reason the Gungans are doing so great is because they live in a place the Naboo can't inhabit, underwater.
No, Obi-Wan, I mean, that part of the movie is they have extremely simplified a complicated relationship for the sake of doing it quickly.
Yeah.
Because they created something too complicated to resolve as like a C plot.
Yes.
But Obi-Wan is right that the Gungans shouldn't just let the Trade Federation take over the planet, because that will be bad for the Gungans too.
Okay, but
that's what he was saying.
Yeah, but
you have to help. You have to not let your planet get taken over by the Trade Federation, because they're not just going to let you live here,
but
all peaceful.
I guess, but the way it's phrased really comes across not like you should do this literally as a selfish act, it's just because it benefits you, but like you should help the Naboo because helping them is important. And like
it's Jedi moralist bullshit, like they do.
Yeah, and the one of the crux of the movies is like Queen Amidala goes to Boss Nass and is like, "Oh, Boss Nass, I'm so sorry we treat you like shit." Or that's not what she says. What she says is like, we've always had our differences, but we've always lived in peace, and now, you know, we're in great danger and I come to you for help. Basically like, hey, sorry we ignore you and pretend you don't exist, but could your army fight this war for us? Could you please come and do this whole thing for us? And then Boss Nass, instead of being like, I can't fucking believe this shit, we will help you because we're better than you stupid losers, instead he's like, what? You don't think you're better than us? Oh my god, this is fantastic news. Of course we'll help you. And I'm just like, dude, come on. So those are the weak points of the Phantom Menace. The sharp points of the Phantom Menace are Darth Maul's head.
Yeah, many sharp points there.
But yeah, Phantom Menace, mostly a great time. I had a good time watching that movie.
Totally.
Have you heard about this guy? Have you heard about one of these Gungans? His name, he's a Jar Jar Binks.
He's a Jar Jar Binks.
He's a moi moi funny.
He's what?
He's a moi moi funny.
He's moi moi funny.
And
he's a great combat general.
He's a get into big doo doo. Yeah, it's funny looking back on it. Like I like Jar Jar stands out as such a positive influence on that movie in retrospect, just because he's like he has like a character, you know, like so many of these characters in the prequels, especially the Phantom Menace, are like I am responsible noble adult, and like people just go around talking like this for the whole movie, and like Jar Jar is one of the few elements like really shaking that up in a fun way. And I guess it's okay, it's hard.
I guess you like Jar Jar now is what you're saying.
I think really, I'll be honest, I think I'm sorry to give you so much credit, but your pitch on Jar Jar last week, specifically you saying he's a Jar Jar Binks, he's a moi moi funny, like somehow completely won me over on Jar Jar. Like, you saying that has lived totally rent free in my head since the moment those words came out of your mouth. It's, you know, my brain has gotten old enough to start forgetting things like it's a hobby. So I can't say I've never noticed this before. I always remembered that Jar Jar was the one in Attack of the Clones who like who motions to give Palpatine the emergency powers. I guess I missed in most of the viewings that like that there's a scene directly before this where like Palpatine is directly manipulating Jar Jar to do this. Like he literally like looks at Jar Jar and it's like, oh, it's too bad Padme isn't here. She'd totally give me emergency powers. If only there's somebody. If only there's someone who could step up to this challenge. And it's like slow pan in on Jar Jar as he's like realizing like I will be the person. And you're like, oh no, Jar Jar, no.
And immediately preceding that is the scene showing Padme being like, I would never give emergency powers
right.
to Palpatine.
Yeah. And do you remember how Jar Jar addresses the Senate?
Ah, fuck. I just saw this like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Dello Feligits.
Fucking the absolute audacity of including that.
Anyway, he's muy muy funny. We all know. Yeah. I still can't really get a read on exactly what George Lucas is trying to do with Qui-Gon. Like, I still can't tell if he thinks Qui-Gon is the best, smartest character in the whole series, or if he's supposed to be a tragic figure.
It's so interesting to me because everything that Qui-Gon did
was bad.
Was like a death sentence to the Jedi.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the interesting things about Qui-Gon is that he is portrayed as, and I think genuinely is meant to be like the best of the Jedi, like the most compassionate, the most willing to bend rules, the most willing to like feel feelings in a controllable way. He's sort of like the anti-Anakin from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, where like Anakin and the Clone Wars cartoon, Anakin has learned all of the lessons that Qui-Gon would have taught him, but is evil, is the evil version of it, which is like part of the tragic, like, oh, Qui-Gon would have trained Anakin, and maybe
Qui-Gon would have done it right.
If someone could have done it right, maybe it was Qui-Gon, but every other step of the way, like everything he did was the wrong thing to do. And I guess that my take on it is like there's a sort of like essential doom to the Republic. Like they're at a point, like the Phantom Menace starts past the precipice. Like there is already no turning back. Like it is a series about not the downfall, but the final moments of the downfall. Like this is a 30,000 year empire, and we are watching the 3 year. I guess it's more like the 20 years that it fails in, or the 15 years. 10 years between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and then I think like 1 or 2 years in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I think it's a couple more than that, but that's basically
okay. So 20, so 13 to 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Like Palpatine's plan, he's got it. Like there's no deviation from it. There's basically no chance at any point from the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, the Clone Wars cartoon, and Revenge of the Sith, even when it gives you the impression that there's a hope, I just can't even see a way out of it. Like it really is sort of a hopeless prequel trilogy.
It's interesting, now that I've learned more about like the period of like Roman history when it goes from a republic to an empire. It's interesting how the prequels are more or less totally just doing that. Like when George Lucas makes the Phantom Menace in 1998, he's probably not talking about the downfall of the American empire so much. I mean, he probably wants to draw parallels between Rome and America, but it's funny how some people looked at like the emergency powers thing being granted to Palpatine and this sort of thing, and like and you know, this is, you know, a taste of a different flavor of like really bad Star Wars prequel reaction that was going on at the time, was people being like, I can't believe, you know, it's like, oh, they took the story of Star Wars and just injected a bunch of jabs at George W. Bush in it. Like, oh, they made it like, you know, like people reacted to these movies like as if George Lucas had made the whole trilogy as like a big political dig on like the Republican Party in America at the time. But in retrospect, he was really just doing Rome, and it just so happened that it was all the same stuff going on in America at the same time.
Right. Well, because America has been doing Rome since it started.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, like the emergency powers and refusing to give them up after a certain point and this sort of thing. Like, that's just, it's the exact same thing that happened in Rome.
Right. Well, I think you highlighted something that we've talked about before, which is one of the ways that the prequel trilogy is interesting is that it tells a kind of story that doesn't get told very often, which is like what happens in the last moments of a democracy.
I think yeah, and I think those parts are interesting, but again, you know, I mentioned this before watching those movies, is that like, it's not that I don't think that part of the movie is good, but I do think it, you know, when you just say it like that, it makes the prequels sound really interesting, but they're just not well written.
I think all that stuff is good. It's just spread out, and it's kind of
for one thing I would say,
I wouldn't say that it's like, it is not guiding you to see that stuff. It's almost like the part of one of the things that I like about that plot line is that it's sort of like a street magic trick, like a sleight of hand thing, where and this is almost why I forgive like the movie for people not noticing like some of the surface level shit, like why is Anakin turning to the dark side? I don't understand, and like what like the premise that the war that they're fighting is totally fake, and that it's the same side on both sides. Red and blue, they're both the same.
What? Wait a second, get Vic on the line. This can't be right. Is because there's this like sort of like sleight of hand trick where the movie is like showing you all of the stuff that the people who are being duped are doing. Meanwhile, with the other hand, it's like setting up a pretty complicated scheme that Palpatine is flawlessly pulling off from basically start to finish. And so you end up missing a lot of this stuff because you're hanging out with the Jedi who are also missing all that stuff. It's kind of cool. Well,
it leads to a lot of people thinking the movie's bad, but as someone who's watched the movies enough to see all that stuff multiple times, like, sure, I wish it was a little more front loaded. It could have been a little bit more well done. Some of the writing isn't that great, but the actual things that are happening is really cool. Like, I think one of the more interesting things that I've picked up from Attack of the Clones, and this is all subtext, make no mistake, this is not in the movie, but one of the really interesting things about the plan, Palpatine's plan, right, to get the Republic to like dump this part is in the movie, getting the Republic to dump all of their money into an expensive like clone mercenary army. One of the things that does is it undermines what we in America are very familiar with, which is the wartime economy, which is basically what America runs on. It's like the backbone of the American economy, where we are pumping, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars a year into like payment for military, payment to companies for military stuff, you know, to build tanks, to get boots, to buy guns, to do bullets, to do this and this, upkeep on bases. People have to clean bases. There's technology, all this stuff. This is like the American government funding itself. And like, that's what the wartime economy means, is like the American government basically gets to act as an engine that pushes the American economy forward, like wading through a pool of blood in foreign wars, which is horrible. But one of the ways that Palpatine is destabilizing the Republic is by dumping all of the Republic's money into like Camino instead of itself, because the entire war is being fought with mercenaries, which is insane. Like, there's a war, you need an army to fight a war. You can't just do and like the Clone Wars cartoon gets into all this stuff with like loans and banking, the banking clan and interest rates and like that is where some of this stuff gets fleshed out a little bit more. But it's like, it's a pretty devious thing. Like, if you're going to have a horrible empire that succeeds, the way that you do it is to have an economy that runs on war. But Palpatine is explicitly denying this from the Republic. And so it is not only spending all of its money on war, it's not even spending it within itself. It's spending it outside of itself. It's bizarre and kind of interesting.
Okay, that's interesting. Oh, I mean, it's also spending all the Republic's money on the droid army also. Right. the other side of the army.
Well, so that also is happening, but the other thing that's happening is that the banking, this is mild Clone Wars spoilers. This is like Clone Wars background lore that gets brought up in a couple episodes, but the banking clan is lending money to the CIS and the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and the Trade Federation.
Sorry, I go ahead. Sorry, finish your thing.
It's fine. The Trade Federation are getting all this money from the banking clan, and because the banking clan is in the pocket, because through Palpatine and Dooku is in the pocket of the future Empire, they're getting all their loans interest free. Meanwhile, they're jacking up interest rates on the Republic. So they're getting like jacked up interest rates versus the no interest rates on the droids.
Wow.
And then that money is getting like embezzled out of the banking clan.
Is that because the banking clans would love the CIS to win the war?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So
yeah,
that is my take on the like why I find the politics of the prequels both interesting and also forgivably missable.
Yeah, I think definitely one of the biggest flaws of the trilogy is that it's the most interesting elements of its story are like are in the background. It's this weird thing about the prequel trilogy where I feel like no part of it works completely. Well, I'm not sure that the parts any of them work completely, but like no part of the trilogy really works on its own until you can stand back and see all three of them and understand what the trilogy is about. Like, yeah, I think this is when we were talking about why people didn't like Phantom Menace. The part we kind of skipped over was that like in the original trilogy, it was like this grand conflict of an evil empire that controls the galaxy and the scrappy rebellion trying to fight against them or whatever. And then in episode 1, it's like, ooh, how did the Star Wars story start? What's the beginning of the saga? And they're like, well, there was a guild of trade merchants and they were mad about taxes. And so they put up a blockade on a backwater planet, and then some Gungans fought some droids. Thank you for coming to my presentation. And a lot of people were just like, what? Why? What?
Yeah.
And so now you look at Phantom Menace, and one of my favorite things about Phantom Menace is how small and unassuming the conflict is and how it serves as this point where the rest of the Clone Wars spiral out from this moment. But you can't know that if you only watch episode 1.
It is
even if you only watch episode 1 and 2.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't get it even after all three.
But the other thing that I was reminded of that bothers me about this trilogy is it holds back the reveal of Palpatine being the Emperor until like halfway through the final movie of the trilogy. And I remember now, like, there were a handful of critics, not sure they were well respected critics, but there were critics that came out of Revenge of the Sith like, this is the best Star Wars movie. And I watched it and could not even begin to comprehend why anyone would think that. And it did occur to me, Revenge of the Sith. And it was like, oh, well, okay. If you were a casual Star Wars fan who liked but didn't particularly obsess over the original trilogy, and then you kind of watched the first two prequels in like a head shut off kind of mode, and you just sort of enjoyed them, I guess, you might have watched Revenge of the Sith and just had your mind blown out your ass that this nice guy senator was actually the Emperor in disguise the whole time. But like,
no way.
I mean, I guess it could have. This must have happened to someone, right? But like, because this is what's weird to me about this reveal is that if you knew from the moment he shows up in episode 1. If you just knew the Emperor's name, if you knew that he was Emperor Palpatine, as soon as Senator Palpatine shows up, you're like,
right, it's
oh,
the same name.
Right. But the prequel, but that I didn't know that the Emperor's name was Emperor Palpatine back then. I thought that name was invented for the prequels, and then I one time saw like an old boxed like collectible doll of the Emperor that said Emperor Palpatine, and I was like, what? Like Kaiser Soze moment or something. I actually just had someone I didn't pick up on this. I saw episode 1 when I was 8, but it was a camp counselor who told me, he's like, hey, you like Star Wars episode 1? I was like, yeah, I love it. And he's like, hey, you know that guy, Senator Palpatine? I'm like, yeah, I know that guy. He's like, he's the Emperor. I was like, what? You're like, yeah, look in the credits. It's played by the same person. I was like, what? What's up?
Wait. It was played by the same person? No.
What do you mean?
In the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy?
Yeah, it's the same person. But he meant if you look in the credits of Phantom Menace, the same actor plays Palpatine and Darth Sidious, who is like kind of obviously the Emperor.
I thought you were saying the same actor plays,
but it is
Palpatine
the same actor
in the. There's no way. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, it totally is. That's what's so brilliant about it, is that you just don't recognize him with the makeup off when he shows up in episode 1.
But I feel the exact opposite way, like 180 degrees, because I always assumed it was a different guy because the movies were made so far apart. But wow, I can't believe that they got a fucking guy that looks exactly like the Emperor, but with a less fucked up old face. That's one of the things that I found so impressive about.
No, it's great. It's just, I guess in Return of the Jedi, it was a young guy playing an old guy, and then by the time Phantom Menace happened, he was just old.
Oh, I had no idea it was the same guy.
Yeah. And but this is my thing, is like, if you were just a Star Wars nerd who just happened to know that the Emperor's name was Emperor Palpatine, then you know as you're watching episode 1,
because he's got the same voice. I'm sorry I interrupted you. He got the same voice. So I feel like the minute I heard him talk, I go, that's the Emperor. I'm 5 years old. That's the Emperor. They sound the same.
No, they don't sound the same, because the Emperor, he's doing a whole voice. I mean, really, the voice was never as, I mean, his performance in the original trilogy, like, I mean, it's one of the best performances in that trilogy, and it totally blows away anything he does in the prequels. It's unfortunate, especially I just thought the makeup they did in Revenge of the Sith when his face finally changes, it just looks bad. Like, his Emperor face looks great in the original trilogy, and the new one, it's just crappy. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, well, because I always excused that because I thought it was a new guy. So I was like, oh, well, obviously they did this insane magic trick where they got a new guy to play the Emperor, and he somehow looks just like the Emperor, but with a less fucked up face. But then when they put the Emperor face on him, obviously he looks different and worse because it's not the same guy. But it's the same guy for real? I had no idea.
I'm afraid the shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive. Just popped into my head. It's a good moment.
Yeah.
We love this Emperor guy. We love this guy.
We love this
we
guy.
See that guy
if
in
we
the
could
Return
vote
of the
for him,
Jedi,
we would.
If we see that guy in the Return of the Jedi and we're like, wow, I want to turn. I love his power move of like, you're already my apprentice. You just don't even realize it. Like, no, don't. We're just gonna stand in this room until you agree that you're my apprentice. It's good stuff.
God, his face really looked so much better in the
It
prequel.
did, yeah. I don't know
in the original trilogy.
I don't know what happened there, really.
I don't know what happened either. Did they not have the original face? Just put the same face on.
I don't think they had the original face. I mean, I don't even think the actor had the original face. So this is the thing that really confuses me about the way Palpatine is handled in the prequel trilogy. Some of it I think is great. I mean, I really do like that they just introduce him as like some nice guy that you kind of read as, well, a nice guy, I guess, or whatever. And then, but like I said, if you knew his name, then you knew from the start. And so I don't think I'm not sure. It's just very weird. It's weird to have a twist.
I think we have totally different reads on Palpatine in these movies.
Okay, that's fine.
I feel like I don't think that the episode 3 thing is a reveal. I think that they are telling you up front that this is Palpatine, and he's exuding Palpatine energy the entire time.
Well,
I mean, we watch him.
He's exuding Palpatine energy the entire time in Revenge of the Sith, because by the time it gets to that movie, it's like, okay, if you don't know, we're going to start really laying it on thick. Like, the first shot of him is him sitting in a big throne-like chair, even though he's technically supposed to be captured. And
okay, so yeah, I love that. That's actually, so I people who've been listening to the past month of Snooze Buttons know that I rewatched the first 2 prequels last month, but have not watched the third one. I actually did watch the first 15 minutes, made it up to the escape off of that ship, and did pause to note, like, look, he's like sitting in the like admiral's chair or whatever, like not tied, or maybe he was tied.
He was tied. Like, it was very like very nothing restraints on his arms. Yeah.
But I like so. I have not finished watching that movie. I am planning on watching it soon. And so I can't say except from memory, but my gut tells me that like the reveal that Palpatine is evil in 3 is not meant to be a serious reveal to the audience.
I mean, that's what I kind of remembered, but as I watched it, it kind of feels that way. I think they kind of play it both ways. Like, they just knew some people wouldn't know.
And I think that you've kind of got to do that, but I think those movies are for and should be understood as movies for people who have seen or at least know about the original trilogy and know from the beginning that Palpatine is the Emperor and is evil, because so much of the storytelling about Anakin's character happens through his interactions with Palpatine, who you would need to know is the Emperor to know that he is seducing Anakin or already has seduced Anakin to the dark side. Because it is subtle, and it's meant to be subtle because he's a subtle guy. I mean, the whole sort of one of a lot of people's least favorite things about the prequel trilogy is that they aren't seeing what the same things that the Jedi aren't seeing. That Anakin is bad.
I agree with whatever you're saying, Keith.
Yeah, were you not listening, Kylie? Were you not listening?
Oh, and I still agree with it.
Do you need me to start over? You could have said, hold on.
Oh, hello. Oh, hi.
Hi. Did you lose battery in your fucking thing?
Yeah. It wasn't.
What was the last thing you heard me say? Oof, rough.
Listen. If I had done it without fumbling all the things out of my hands, it would have been more interrupting to interrupt you first and then change the batteries than it would have been to just change them and interrupt you and say I had to change my batteries. But then I dropped all of the things and then I fucked up turning my headphones back on and it became the whole thing.
I just like, when you're watching a movie and someone's like not paying attention because they're doing something on your phone and you're like, if you had just told me ahead of time, I would have paused it and it would have been fine. I would rather pause it than have you miss something.
Okay, noted.
That's how I feel about these.
Okay. I will try to do better in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
What were you saying?
I was saying Jeepers Creepers.
Palpatine?
I think that I left off saying that I remember the words I was saying, but not the context I was saying them in.
Well, say them.
One of what people consider a weakness of the prequel trilogy is that they don't see what Palpatine was doing, which was turning Anakin to the dark side and collapsing the Republic, because it was subtle, because he's a subtle guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember why I was saying that.
We were talking about, is the prequel trilogy meant to treat the fact that the Emperor, Palpatine is the Emperor, as a reveal? And I think it absolutely is. That's why he's so subtle.
But if you don't know that he's the Emperor when you're watching, especially Attack of the Clones,
right, and you don't like it as much,
then you miss it.
I know. That's what we've been talking about.
But which is why I have to assume that there's a realistic expectation that people understand who he is ahead of time. I mean, it is one of the biggest franchises of all time.
What I would say is, I'm thinking about episode 2, right? And you're saying Palpatine, they totally show him being like, and he says it like with a very like played grim seriousness that of him accepting these emergency powers and the great army of the Republic, but they show the clone army coming in to save the day, and then they show Palpatine looking over his new army with a grim face on as they play the Imperial March. So it's not like they were clearly being like, this is maybe bad. This guy might be a bad guy.
Right, we watch him seizing power.
Yeah. So I think it is treated as a reveal, and that's why I think it's kind of weak if you know the reveal is coming. But I also think that it reminds me of when I'm saying, I think part of why you appreciate the prequel movies so much is that we have a really long view on them at this point, and I think that is where the best stuff of those movies can often come out, because the subtlety of Palpatine's plan is maybe a little too subtle.
I think I've got to say, there is another thing that the quote unquote reveal does, because I understand the movie's treating it like a reveal because it is a reveal. Who's it a reveal to? Mace Windu. It's the other shoe drop. We are watching finally the other shoe drop. We are watching the Jedi realize what we have known from before the movies even started, which is that Emperor Palpatine is the future emperor of the Empire, and not the present Chancellor of the Republic.
Well, this is just why I think, they're just trying to have it work on two levels. They know that there are some people who are the mega fans that are going to know from the beginning, and they know there are some people that are the casual fans that have no idea, and they're trying to serve both. And I don't think they're super successful at it, but I think they're pretty good.
I'm trying to put my head around the idea that there's
people who didn't know,
even 5% of people who didn't know that Chancellor Palpatine was Emperor Palpatine.
Okay, so
during Attack of the Clones.
Here's the thing: I would love to put out a poll, but on Twitter or to our audience or whatever,
Yeah, our audience is not
we've done 4 podcasts on Star Wars straight in a row, and we still have people listening, so they're clearly not the kind of person I'm talking about when I say like general Star Wars watcher. Like, I really think when you're talking about all of the millions and millions of people around the globe who saw that movie, I really think it's closer to the opposite ratio. I think like 90% of people didn't know just because they didn't give a shit. You know, they didn't even realize they were supposed... Well, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, the movie... They do show you... this is important to remember. All of these movies are constantly showing you guy who's clearly the Emperor because he has the big hood on and he talks in the voice. And so you're like... The whole time you're like, oh, well, that's the bad guy. That's the Emperor. Right. And it's only if you're paying...
voice. It's got the same voice.
No, it's a different voice. It's only if you realize that these 2 characters that the movie is treating separately are the same person. Because the first time Palpatine the Chancellor uses Emperor voice is when Anakin is not sure if he should kill Dooku, and then he goes, do it. Yeah. And it's actually a very silly moment because the idea, I think, is supposed to be that this is the Emperor's true voice and it's how he wants to really talk, but it's like so clearly a forced, creepy, evil voice coming out of the actor's mouth directly in that moment. But
this doesn't matter. I always sort of took it as like like he's got to sound nice, so he sounds nice.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's also a disguising his voice. So it's like a disguising your voice and stuff. But to me, it's the same voice. You can tell that it's just a guy talking a little bit different. Maybe it's just because I've always been good at hearing voices. But the idea that you could hear those 2 voices and not go, that's that guy.
No, I think this is your thing. I think you can tell, no one else can tell. Like, it's such a cartoonish voice. Now we'll have a revenge on the Jedi. Like, the reason I love that voice in the original trilogy, well, other than the fact that he just does it better than the original trilogy, is because, you know, you see the Emperor, you hear the voice, and you're like, well, yeah, this is the cartoonishly evil guy. He looks like he's a bazillion years old, and he's, you know, he just looks ancient, and so when he talks with this really weird, creepy, evil voice, it sounds appropriate. And now, in this most recent viewing of Revenge of the Sith, I can see now, I understand, like, I've had multiple viewings of the Darth Plagueis scene. I've talked to you about the movie. So now I can realize what they're doing in the Darth Plagueis scene, and I just missed this, I guess. I think I really only sat through this movie like once or twice before this all the way through. A lot
of people missed this.
Is that I missed the part where he's revealing that he is much older than a person should be because he's the one who did the immortality magic. I think the reason I missed this is because once Anakin turns to the dark side, he's like, hey, what about that immortality magic? And Palpatine's immediately like, oh, I actually don't know that magic, but I'm sure we can figure it out together. And I always interpreted that as, oh, he was lying about knowing the magic, when in reality, he's lying about... The lie about knowing the magic is when he says he doesn't know it because he's not giving it to Anakin because he's keeping it for himself. And I didn't get that the first time. So now I understand that when the Emperor's... Like, the Emperor shoots lightning at Mace Windu, and Mace Windu bounces it back with his lightsaber, and the lightning hits Palpatine... And in the movie, he's like writhing in agony and his face is transforming from normal human face to like evil, fucked up Emperor face. And the way I always interpreted that as like, that's how the Emperor came to look like that. He was so fucking stupid that he kept shooting his lightning, even though it was obviously bouncing back, and it melted his face, and he looks like that now and he sounds like that now. But actually, I think what that scene is actually doing is it's like, this is Palpatine actually, it's a total act. The whole moment is an act. And he's really just using this, he's like using the injury as a disguise to reveal how he really looks and how he really sounds. And he always wanted to reveal this, but he was hiding it the whole time. Because...
Okay, that's interesting. I have a different read on that when you're done, if you want to hear it.
Yeah, I think I'm basically done.
Okay. it's like I always write it as it's electricity, and one of the things that the lightning thing does to you is it like whenever it hits someone, it like stuns them and they can't move. And so, and I've been electrocuted before, so I know this. I always figured that he couldn't stop because he was in the middle of being electrocuted.
That does make sense, yeah. And this is the thing. Revenge of the Sith,
your interpretation, though.
Revenge of the Sith, it's not a clear movie all the time, right? Like there's stuff that happens in it that's muddy and not in an intentional way. I don't think. Or maybe
I don't
maybe
think there's a problem with that, though.
I don't know. Yeah. So later, later I was gonna say like he gives that speech in front of the Senate where he has his creepy evil face and he's got the hood on now and he's like, I have been permanently scarred by this horrendous attack, and I guess watching it now it's like, oh, okay, I can totally see how this is just him. Like it was obvious that he was using this attack on him as justification to get more power, right? But it's like it further
and to villainize the Jedi.
Yeah, but to me in that scene this time I watched it even further just sounded more like that, like the injury was never fake. It's just the thing is he used evil magic to keep himself immortal for hundreds or thousands of years. He just looks like this, but he's pretending the Jedi did it to him so that, you know, to discredit the Jedi and to get away with looking so super evil the way he loves to. He fucking loves it.
He fucking loves the Sith are a classic style of villain in that they love the aesthetics of evil shit.
Yeah. Oh no, wait. But every time Darth Sidious appears in the trilogy, he doesn't have fucked up face. He has normal face. So maybe this discredits my whole theory. Or just maybe it was really hard to go back and forth. Maybe it was a semi-permanent change. You know, like hair dye. You know, when he's finally letting it out.
You're saying that the act of even looking all fucked up is fake, and that he could have just done that whenever.
That was kind of my read. Was like, oh, he just looks like this, and he's pretending that it was done to him as justification for why he looks his normal fucked up way now.
Okay. I mean, hey, anything's possible. It's totally possible.
Yeah.
What I thought you were saying was
the
just
headcanon
that,
I like.
What I thought you were saying was that like the lightning, that he knew that he was going to get attacked, and that the consequence of getting attacked was that like his like immortality glamour was going to fuck up, and but that was fine because he needed to sell that he got attacked to the Senate anyway. So he was like, I'll get attacked. It'll hurt. I'll use my lightning to bounce the thing off of Windu and into my face. That'll injure me, but it'll only just make me look like how I'm supposed to look anyway. Whatever. And then I'll go to the Senate and say, look at my horrible
Exactly.
face.
Yeah. Because when you watch that moment again, when he's like writhing in pain and going, oh no, help me. It's like, if you just watch it with the idea that it's all an act, it's so obviously an act. Like he's like completely
I'm afraid that that's a lot of acting.
I know. But then the moment Mace Windu lets up, Palpatine leaps up and like just totally fucking owns him in a way that he could have done the moment before the lightning reflecting scene thing. Like he force pushes Mace Windu out the window. Mace Windu. Like he could have just done that first, but no, he wanted to put on a whole scene for Anakin. He wanted Anakin to do it. So yeah, I definitely think
we can agree that a Jedi was meant to attack Palpatine as part of the plan.
Oh sure, yeah. So I think his creepy face is just the natural consequence. Like I just think his immortality doesn't work on his face. Like it keeps his body alive, but his face just gets worse and worse. And yeah, his decision to reveal that, but to play it up like it was a horrible scarring that the Jedi did to him.
Richard Carter in the chat says, I was not enough of a Star Wars fan in the original releases of the prequels to know that Senator Palpatine was the bad guy. For the record, I was born in 91.
There you go.
I believe you, Richard.
Younger than me, but older than Keith.
Yep. But I insist.
You believe him, but he's full of shit.
I insist that that Attack of the Clones, at least Attack of the Clones was trying to tell you, because it's like, it's without this understanding, the movies almost don't make sense. Like, you have to know that Palpatine orchestrated an attack on Padme so that she would leave the Senate and stay with Anakin, who he knows is in love with her, that will fuck up with his emotions. Meanwhile, he can exert more influence over the Senate because the one person stopping him from doing that is Padme.
No, this is what I'm saying. This is why so many people, the movies don't make sense to them. The movies don't make sense if you don't know this, and most people didn't. And that's why. That's what I mean when I say. This goes
back to what I originally said 2 weeks ago, which is that some things make sense and are great the first time you watch them, and some things don't, and that doesn't make it any better or worse.
No, I agree with you that. I agree with you that watching these movies with full knowledge of what they are and what they contain is the way to really enjoy them. That's not my favorite way to enjoy a movie, but I mean, we do have to. Wait, no,
people have been reading. I've made this point. People have been reading Shakespeare for hundreds of years,
and
getting new things from it.
Here, this is my thing. The reason that these movies are easy to hate is because these things that we're enjoying about them are not always easy to see or apparent to the people watching them, and that's why it's like, hey everybody, join our party. We're watching the prequels in the way that's fun and makes you like them. That's great. Yeah. But I still didn't like. I came away from them saying like, Episode 3 is still probably my least favorite of the 8 episodes, like the 8 full Star Wars episodes that I've seen. I still haven't seen Rise of Skywalker.
Same.
I think episode 1 and 2, I like them about an equal amount for largely different reasons.
Right.
And you know,
Attack of the Clones has some really cool stuff, and it also has the worst thing that's in any of the movies, which is the Padme. Basically, that they forced the Padme character to have to be in love with Anakin because it had to be that way, but without doing any of the work to make that not seem totally fucking insane.
Yeah, and just all of the dialogue between them is terrible. The sand line was actually not as bad as I remember it.
No,
but the line that follows that about like everything here is smooth,
soft,
and soft.
You're soft,
and then he reaches out and strokes her arm with the back of his fingers. It's so fucking creepy,
so gross and creepy. It's fucked up. It's such a the reveal at the that like near the end, or maybe 2/3 of the way through the movie, that Padme's like, I actually do love you, and I was just hiding how I feel because we can't. Like, it's psychotic that's how that's supposed to go. Like, this is this guy who's been like shitting his fucking diapers every second that he's been with you. Like, this is the guy you like, for real?
Well, it's
the guy that already told you that he's a mass murderer.
Well, Keith, it's the uncontrollable allure of the BDE, big dark side energy.
Oh, right, yes. Okay, so Richard Carter says, it was definitely made apparent before the reveal. With that I agree with. I just didn't realize it before watching the prequels. If you remember, do you remember the moment that you, like, how far along in the prequels you realized that Palpatine was the Emperor? And was it the first? Basically, I want to know if it was the first third of Attack of the Clones or later than that. Is really what I want to know.
I think the movies, I think, don't do anything that overtly hints that that Palpatine is the Emperor until that final shot. Well, not final, because it's like Return of the King and Attack of the Clones. Like, it just ends 6 times. You're like, wow, this movie keeps going. One of the final shots when he's looking out at the clone army and it's playing the Imperial March, that's when you're like, wait, there's something up with this. Also, these are stormtroopers.
You don't think when he declares himself the Chancellor?
No, he gets elected Chancellor or whatever.
Okay, he gets that, but he
that's what I love about that moment is that moment is played like we're supposed to think it's a good thing. It's supposed to be playing into that base instinct of like, ooh, we all hate non-functional, these bureaucrats that are gumming up the works of democracy. With this guy is an ineffectual leader. We need to put on Senator Palpatine. He's a
we
nice.
Had just seen Padme talk about how bad that would be because Palpatine is like appealing to people's like basic militaristic instincts.
Right. And Padme is like, no. Chancellor Valorum, he's our biggest supporter. Why would we vote a no confidence against him? Then we see blue spiky face guy and somebody else whisper into Valorum's ears, and Palpatine goes, and here's where it all falls apart. Here's where the bureaucrats take control because they're the ones really in power. And that's when Valorum says like, oh, actually, we're not going to do anything about the Trade Federation. God. And that's what makes Padme go like, oh, this guy isn't good. We should put in Palpatine. But the best part is
I'm talking later. I'm talking Attack of the Clones when she leaves for her summer home and Jar Binks is her representative, and he puts forward the motion to grant him emergency powers.
Sure. To finish my thing, what's great is that those bureaucrats that were supposedly bad and in charge and controlling Valorum are then seen behind Palpatine like every other time he appears in the trilogy, which is very funny. They were clearly already his stooges. But yeah, I that you're right. When he gets the emergency powers, that's when you're supposed to be like, hey, that might not be good. That's a thing happening in the news lately, and some of us don't like that.
Well, but the other thing that you go is, let's say that you're a casual fan like Richard Carter who says
but I think what you're forgetting is there's a difference between the reveal that Palpatine isn't a good guy and the reveal that he is specifically the Emperor of the Star Wars Empire.
But if you're a casual fan, you've seen the original trilogy, but you're like not picking up on the clues like that it's the same actor and they have the same voice, and that sometimes the Imperial March plays in little bits when he's walking by, and that he keeps saying like slightly ominous and weird things to Anakin.
I see. I think this is your prequel trilogy rewatch. You have to rewatch these with the thought in your head that you're not a person who already knows this, and watch how subtle it is.
No. I'm replaying in my head, and it's insane how different it is. Like this is almost why I can't believe that that the movie is accounting for this. Because it's like it is such a fundamental change to the series, like it's unbelievable how much that it is.
What do you mean fundamental change to the series?
It fundamentally changes how the movies behave if you don't know.
Oh, I know. I think we finally hit upon why I think they're so much worse than you. Is I'm like, there's this massive problem with the Palpatine character, and one that you don't agree exists.
But okay, so what I was gonna say was sorry, we only got the bit of me dunking on Richard Carter and not the part where I was gonna agree with something. Well,
is
okay,
Richard Carter
let me
the guy
track
who
back.
plays the and I'll say that I don't this voice thing you come back to. I think this is your almost supernatural voice discerning abilities. I agree, of course, that the Palpatine voice and the Emperor voice, it's the same person making those. They're both the same actor, but I would never call them the same voice. Like, they are not the same at all. I mean, obviously the Emperor is like cartoonishly, like, that's why I think it's so subtle, is because he's totally disguising his voice unless you have some kind of supernatural voice hearing ability. I mean, I guess I should say you're particularly good at recognizing voices. I'm particularly bad at it. So maybe I'm just overstating how dramatic the voice disguising is, but I would never have been able to notice.
I'll let you out in a second. My cat needs to go out of this room because for no reason. He just wants to go sit somewhere else. But I'll let him out after I figure out what I was going to say.
Anakin building C-3PO is not as stupid as I used to think it was.
Yeah.
It's clear. It's clear he was. Well, I think the thing that never made sense is why did he make a mass-produced robot? But that makes he hangs out. He literally works at a junk shop.
Right.
Like he literally hangs out with old broken robots. He's just scavenging parts and reassembling them. Like obviously.
Right. Yeah. Totally. God, I wish I remembered what the point I was gonna make was. It probably was gonna solve this whole thing.
Well, I think we definitely need to get to new Pokemon Snap because we've been teasing people with this image for this whole stream.
Oh yeah.
But I will say what I never got around to saying. We kind of got this, but when I watch The Phantom Menace, I'm so impressed by how many practical effects and everything. Yeah, I think when The Phantom Menace came out, compared to the original Star Wars, people were like, "Oh, it's all CG." No, it's extremely not all CG. There's tons of practical effects and practical locations and sets in that movie, and they all look fantastic, or many of them look fantastic. And then episodes 2 and 3, the entire movie is shot on a blue screen, a green screen. Like it's just every single environment is fake, every backdrop, like so many characters. I forgot this. Do you remember there is not a clone trooper suit that appears in that trilogy?
No way.
Do you remember that? Every single clone trooper is CG, and in
absolutely embarrassing.
In episode 3, in episode 3 we understand like all of these clones, they're all clones of Jango Fett, and so they show them without their helmet on, and it's always that guy's head really badly superimposed onto a digital clone trooper body, and the clone trooper bodies are the worst looking CG effect in the whole trilogy, and I don't know why. It's very embarrassing. Like just put the guy in a suit.
It's just like 40 flat bits. How could it be bad?
40 flat bits? What do you mean?
I mean, it's basically just polygons. It's just white polygons.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, it's digital effects look as good as they are created to be, so I guess I don't know, less time or whatever, but it's very strange that you see some shots in Revenge of the Sith, like the space battles. You look at these ships and they just look incredible and they're so detailed and they just look real, and then you see like this PlayStation 2 clone trooper character model like right in front of the camera. It's like, wow, why? Ugh.
Embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's so embarrassing.
Yeah. So and I think that is, if there's anything that I would have to point to and be like, forget everything else, this is the problem with these two movies, besides maybe the scripting, is just, it's like the whole movie is fake. None of it's real. It's all just, and real quick, I want to say it's all fake sets and fake locations, which can be okay in a movie, but it's exacerbated by the fact that those two movies are specifically movies about very rapidly cutting between different parts of a galaxy, and it's like cutting back and forth between Coruscant, and Coruscant as a location is extremely homogenous looking, so you never understand where you are. You never know where you are in those movies. It's a big mess.
If I could give the prequels a compliment in relation to the sequel trilogy, the way this has bugged me from day one of the sequels. Although The Last Jedi was worse at it than The Force Awakens. It's one of the things that The Force Awakens did better than The Last Jedi. But the way that the actors act in that movie, I can always feel that they are in a Star Wars movie. Does that make sense? I can always tell that not every actor in every scene, but there's always this sense that like the actors are acting in the next installment of the Star Wars franchise. And I can feel that, and it really gets under my skin. Versus the prequel trilogy, I almost never feel that way about the acting. I almost never feel like what people are doing is like showing in the way they act the weight of responsibility of being in a Star Wars.
Well, I mean,
I know that this is extremely intangible as a quality.
Yeah, and I can't necessarily claim that I ever felt that in The Force Awakens. I'm not sure. Maybe it's not something I really thought about, but you saying that it doesn't feel that way in the prequel trilogy, I would say like I maybe like agree, but I also think that like there's so many examples of acting in those movies where it's like I'm not concerned with what movie they think they're in. Like I'm concerned with like, why did the director or editor like think that was okay? Like there's so many takes in those movies where I'm like, why did nobody stop and say, this sounds like garbage, let's reword this in the moment and take another shot, or like that delivery was really wooden, let's go again. Like I think the acting in that sucks. It's rough. It doesn't feel like I was gonna say it doesn't feel like people interacting. It doesn't feel like characters interacting a lot of the times. I don't know.
I mostly disagree. I think Qui-Gon, what's his name? Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor do a great job. I think some of the Jedi Council doesn't do a great job. Like some of the minor Jedi Council people don't do that good of a job.
I think that I will say the Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and the Jedi Council in general, while they are very muted and kind of boring because that's their character, it wasn't as muted or boring as I was expecting the scenes to feel.
Yeah.
I think one of the big problems is
the acting is pretty good.
That story just ended up feeling like they made it too big for 3 movies. You know, like episode 2 ends with the start of the Clone Wars, and episode 3 basically starts with the end of the Clone Wars. And you're like, wow, there was a big important war that happened. Wish I saw any of it. Anyways.
Yeah. And they did realize that and do a whole show of it.
Oh, okay. We really have to get to new Pokemon Snap because I need to shut the fuck up about Star Wars. But yeah. I watched that 2 hours of the 2D Clone Wars thing, the original one. And I will say, it's really good. I liked it. I mean, it's better than season 1 of the 3D Clone Wars, which I understand is a low bar,
not a high bar,
but it's good. It's very watchable. There's not a lot of it's a lot of action scenes for like the first half of it.
Yeah,
so it's pretty watchable, and it gives just like decent context for stuff that, like, specifically the first half, it's split into 2 halves, and each half is 1 hour, and the first hour just feels like, we thought this would be cool, like watch clone troopers fight droids, it's fun, there's Jedis with lightsabers. And the second half is like, here is all of the important backstory we couldn't fit into episode 3, and so we handed it to an animation studio and they made this cartoon, and it will help you not hate episode 3 as much as I did when I first watched it. It does things like introduce you to General Grievous, you know, that major character in the movie who you had never heard of before.
No, we heard of General Grievous right at the beginning. They say we've got to get General Grievous. Let's go.
I know the opening text crawl of Revenge of the Sith said there's a man.
Yeah, it explains the whole thing. He's a wicked droid general, which is not even true. I mean, he is a droid general, but he is not a droid general.
Right, exactly.
He's a general of droids.
The thing, this 2D Clone Wars thing, it literally ends at the moment that Revenge of the Sith begins. Like you watch the Emperor, or not Emperor, you watch the Chancellor get kidnapped and all this stuff. Like all of the things that when you watch Revenge of the Sith, it just tells you in the text crawl, like, the Chancellor's been captured. There's a guy named General Grievous. Everyone's fighting. And you're like, you skipped a lot. It's in the cartoon, at least.
Does the 2D cartoon have Ahsoka in it?
No.
Okay, so Ahsoka was invented for the 3D Clone Wars.
Yeah, I didn't realiise that. I thought she was in the 2D one.
I have not seen. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. Well, but there are a few prominently featured Togruta characters.
You know what?
Well, that's definitely where the reading was coming from.
That sounds to me like Pokemon Snap. Snap.
Oh, you're not seeing. I thought you saw this happening.
I had Discord minimized. I can see it now though.
I mean, this just looks like modern Pokemon. I still despise the technological and character aesthetics of modern Pokemon. I think this game looks great. I think the anime characters look like garbage.
Yeah, they look. I just feel like they keep making the Pokemon characters look younger and younger. I don't know why. Like, it feels like I'm playing like a 7-year-old.
Wait a second. Is it possible that the Pokemon characters are staying the same age and we're the ones getting older?
No, look at Ash Ketchum for like a second, right?
I think actually
look at Red.
My character here, I think, looks fine, actually. I said they look like shit. I'm specifically thinking of, there's a girl assistant character who hangs out in the lab, and I think she looks awful.
Oh, hey, is this your first time doing this?
Yes.
Okay, so watch this. Watch what it does.
I need to...
Watch this. Okay, so now that it's glowing, only the pictures when it's glowing count. So get some good ones now that it's glowing. It will stop glowing in a few seconds. It will glow again, but someone said if the game is supposed to be on stream, it's not.
Oh no! What are you talking about? Oh shit! I'm sorry.
It's fine. I gotta run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, welcome to Pokemon Snap. Here we are. I'm in the process of fucking around with my controls. So you start with set 1 where it separates. There's different camera movement controls on both the left and right stick. I think it's really confusing. It was very off-putting when I immediately started the game. I think once I get a handle on it, it will maybe end up feeling better than the original Pokemon Snap did, but at the outset, it felt like a needless complication. The frustrating thing about these original controls, well, I'll wait till Keith gets back to say something else, but the original controls have you snap a photo with I think is extremely bad and frustrating because it requires you to take your thumb off of the right stick to push the A button. It's like kind of one of those just general obvious things that you would expect games not to do by default nowadays because we've figured controls out a little bit better, but Nintendo does live in the past. So you can switch it to set 3, which will move set 2, which will move the camera taking button up to R, which of course makes more sense control wise and makes more sense camera wise, since that's how cameras work. You know, it's like some of these things, you know, it's just Nintendo. Wow. Nintendo, they do a good game, they make a big fun, and sometimes you just don't even know what dimension they're living in. This is Meganium. This appears to be some kind of I'm not really sure why they kind of decided Meganium is like the mascot character for this game because it's on the cover. I mean, I don't, whatever. I think some people probably care a lot about Meganium. It's not me. I feel like it's fine. It's just a kind of a random choice. There's just not a lot of interesting detail to Meganium, is there?
Hello.
And off it goes. Oh, hello. Welcome back.
I'm back.
Energy reading is gone too.
I was just explaining some of the control changes that I made to my control scheme. Mainly just that I increased the sensitivity of the camera and I moved the picture snapping button from A to R so that I didn't have to take my thumb off the stick to snap a picture.
Fair.
And this is one of the
great
things.
change because I started using the right thumbstick when you told me that the right thumbstick is a better control because it doesn't move the center thing, which is annoying and I hate it.
Right, exactly. Let's see what we got here. And I moved the picture snap button to R, which just felt like not only is it just a better control concept, it's more like a camera.
Right, 'cause it's like a camera.
It's like so obvious. There's the, just the classic example of Nintendo living in a different universe. I think we like this one.
Wait, go back. I mean, you don't have to, but there's more pictures. You got a 3-star one if you want to use that.
Wait, no, I don't.
It says you have one.
It's lying.
See that? It says. I mean, it does look like it's lying because I don't see where that would be.
Weird.
But it does say that you have it. That's weird. Oh, you can't use it because it wasn't glowing.
Wow.
It wasn't
incredible.
Illumina enough.
So we're gonna go with. Wow. Which one do you think? Do we like this one or we like this one?
Well, I think that one's gonna get you more points, but the other one's obviously a nicer picture.
Yeah, it's obviously a better picture. We'll just go with that one, which is what I already had. Yeah, I remember I had told you that I bounced off this game quickly the first time I tried it, and that was mostly because there was a limited time fun game mode in Rocket League, and new Pokemon Snap will be here forever, so I wanted to get more Rocket League football in before it disappeared. But also, I think they did this very frustrating thing where when you're doing the tutorial, you can't change the controls. So I immediately started the game, went, wow, these controls are garbage, and then like paused it and tried to change them and couldn't find any option to change them. And I was like, wow, they really did that, huh? Okay. Yeah. But I guess that's not true. There actually are control options.
All right.
Here's Professor Mirror. He's just like Professor Oak, but you don't care about him because he's not Professor Oak.
I wonder when the next Pokemon game to have a professor you would care about will be.
Well, I think there's people that care about all of the professors.
Sorry, I'll rephrase then. I wonder when there'll be a Pokemon game with a professor that I care about.
Oh, Pokemon Red.
I mean the next one.
Keith, I think this is just gonna come up again and again as we get older. I don't think there will be a next one. I think Professor Oak is our Pokemon professor.
New things that I like are constantly happening, even though I'm the same age as I am when a Pokemon game comes out.
New things of old things?
Sure.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
I mean, I can't. It is. Here's what I'm saying, and I feel like you cannot disagree with this physically and mentally.
Wait. Okay. What is it?
It is Pokemon's fault that Pokemon is boring, not mine.
Objectionable. Oh wait, sorry. Objective.
Right.
Objectionable. Okay.
Opposite.
Very different from objectionable. Yeah. It's objective fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I know that not everyone cares about Professor Oak like I do, but does anyone care about Professor Mirror? Because he's a brand new professor. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure that people are online. I guarantee you, if I searched for Professor Mirror, there would be people like with a picture of him and then like the sweat drop emoji, being like, because every new professor, there's a group of people that want to fuck that professor.
Oh, sure. Okay, so this professor is like really, he's taken aback by the photos that Rita is showing him. Like, I took these photos, and he's like, oh no, we just became a Rule 34 almost. I just, whatever. This just isn't, this is just me. And not everyone feels this way. A lot of people will say, oh, I love that Pokemon Snap has a little veneer of a story. It would take me out of the game if it didn't have a professor and an assistant to help me latch on to its narrative. But I'm like the opposite, where it's like I get in here like, yeah, let's snap some Pokemon, and the first thing it's like, meet these very charming and soft looking anime characters with very little personality, and watch them have very normal interactions that don't interest or surprise you at all.
Yeah, they have extremely boring
And I'm just
conversations.
like, big fucking yawn.
I'll say this: they eventually, like, the more you play, it seems like the less they have to say.
Awesome.
Like, I am at the point now. I have unlocked. I just unlocked a third location, but I've not played there yet. And I will do several runs in a row without them basically saying anything. So,
oops. Hopefully that'll be sharper looking. Good morning. I see they're still fucking talking to me. You just.
I know. There's a lot of talking at the beginning. It also frustrated me. So Pokemon, the original Pokemon Snap, it had like what, 4 tracks or something like that?
Pokemon Snap?
Yeah.
No, it had like 8. 4
like
would
8
have been
tracks?
criminal.
Okay.
It had, let's see, beach, tunnel, volcano, river, canyon, and volcano. That's 6. The Mew one doesn't count. Oh, there's the underground cave one. So that's 7. And I can't think of any more.
So I've only done 2. I've done the day and night versions of 2 locations.
Yeah, the night version is a nice touch.
The night version of the second location is gorgeous. But I'll tell you what I haven't done is throw something at Charmeleon so that he falls into a lava lake and comes out as a Charizard. And I feel like it's funny because the Pokemon do so much more in this than in the original Pokemon Snap. Like, they have more personality. They're doing more different things.
But have you gotten the Pester Balls yet?
No.
What if you need the Pester Balls?
Maybe that's what I need. I don't know if this game has Pester Balls. Maybe it does.
The Pester Balls.
I have not seen complex interaction yet. I did find one. I found one cool thing. I'll say that. I found one cool thing with a pincer.
And having just gone back and played a little of original Pokemon Snap in the past couple weeks, I will tell you that there's also very few, if any, interactions you can do at the beginning of that game either, because they also start you with nothing. So you do just have to like look around and take pictures.
I do like this game a lot. I've had fun. It's been fun to do.
Why are you still fucking talking to me? Thank you for your Poke Foods. I wanted these apples.
It's actually a floofa fruit. A fluff fruit.
Fluff fruit.
I feel like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, God, you can't believe we're 2.5 hours into this podcast and you just got owned about fruit.
Yeah. Hey, at least I didn't have to say that the prequels were great.
I'm glad that I didn't have to say that either.
You really did a lot of work to sidestep having to say how right I was.
Listen, I will say, as somebody with a great deal of nostalgia for The Phantom Menace, because I was 8 years old and it came out when I was a little impressionable baby, that movie is almost great. There's only a few things about it that bug me. The Attack of the Clones, I'd call that almost pretty good, and I'd call Revenge of the Sith fine / almost good. And a lot of the, like, yeah, there's good stuff in there. You know, like the Anakin turning to the dark side and Obi-Wan and Padme's reactions to that. It's not all great, but some of it's good. Some of it's really good. There's some good stuff in there.
One of the worst things about the Clone Wars cartoon is that it never seems to, again, I have not seen about half of the first season because I skipped it because it sucked. I don't think they ever deal with that he slaughters a town full of people in immediately preceding the start of that cartoon.
Well, I don't think he only tells Padme, and I'm sure she's not spreading that news around.
Right, but there's a sort of like emotional weight to that he doesn't seem to carry.
Did you see Anakin's fight with Ventress in the 2D Clone Wars?
I have seen it. I think I have seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
All right.
It's
well,
funny.
I guess
Ventress is the character that they bring over from that.
Yeah, they give her a better look though. Wow. None of the my theory for the 2D Clone Wars stuff. It's on Disney Plus, by the way. It's under the Star Wars Vintage, which is where they put all of the old embarrassing cartoons that people shouldn't watch, which is totally unfair to these Clone Wars cartoons. They're good. You should watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to? You gonna go watch these, or should I just tell you about the fight with Ventress?
I'll watch it eventually. I think you can tell me.
All right, yeah,
I will watch it eventually.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's
if
not.
You feel strongly like it's something that I would enjoy, not knowing how it turns out, then that's fine.
No, I think it's fine. He fights her. Her thing is she fights with the 2 red lightsabers.
Yeah.
And there's just a great moment where they're fighting. They're alone. No one's around. And she gets him to drop his lightsaber, but then he steals one of hers. So now they're both fighting with red lightsabers, and he ends up essentially killing her. Like he knocks her off a cliff, and you never see her again. So it's assumed she's dead. And he's holding a red lightsaber, and he lets out this like blood rage scream into the night. It's very dramatic, but no one's around to see it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's I think one of the big weaknesses of the just the prequels, but all of the pre-original trilogy content is like it pretends that Anakin's turn happens at the end of Revenge of the Sith, when actually it has already happened by the start of Attack of the Clones.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is, I think, one of the most interesting things about Attack of the Clones is that it is a movie about a character that has fallen to the dark side but doesn't know it yet.
Right, exactly.
Which, and again, it totally tracks with the whole movie. It's just like whether George Lucas did this on purpose or not, who knows / who cares. I don't this is, I think, a difference between us with the prequels is I never really particularly care what George Lucas meant to do.
I can't help but care what artists meant to do in their work, and I don't know why I have this thing and other people don't, but
it's not that I think it's irrelevant. I think it's an interesting component to what's happening, but I also think that that artists try to do something and accidentally do something else, and I think they try to do something and fail, and I think they do things they don't mean to do, and I think those are all it's sick, right? Yeah, I love that. And I think that stuff's all important, and the way that the end work. The way that it seems to me at the end is more important than trying to figure out what specifically George Lucas meant, even though I do think it's both interesting and a piece of the puzzle.
Well, I think for me, I have such
I love the Dodrio Dodrio, yeah. It's just like running around looking fucking weird.
I think for me, because I have so many like contradicting and overlapping and confused reactions to this trilogy of movies. You know, it's like I need to think about what George Lucas was trying to do in order to understand it or something.
Yeah, this is sort of what I was talking about. I don't think you understood what I was trying to say. Maybe it was last week or the week before, but I think it was 2 weeks ago, I think. But I was trying to say that like the environment surrounding these movies has made it almost impossible to know how you feel about them. Do you remember me saying this?
Yeah. And I know what you mean.
Okay. I thought that maybe you had said that you didn't get what I was saying.
Maybe I said that at the time. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I thought that maybe rewatching the movies would make you understand what it's so you watch them and you just feel nine different things all at once.
I guess what I mean is like you say that, but you are like, the reason you feel 9 different ways about this movie is because you've heard 9,000 different conflicting opinions about these movies, which is true. But I just think that take is glossing over how confused these movies are at times. Like they're not movies with like a singular vision that was executed upon flawlessly. Like they're a big fucking mess.
Yeah. And I think this is why we need to watch these movies together plausibly.
So, yeah.
And so that at every point of contention, we can stop and talk for 40 minutes. I mean, it's gonna take 6 hours to get through one movie.
So funny.
It's going to be our best work. It's going to be our magnum opus.
Oh God. It's gonna be our prequel trilogy. It's like, okay, when we first started out, we didn't have the technology to watch an entire movie and pause every 5 minutes and yell about it. But now finally, with the innovation of Patreon and Vimeo, we can give the true experience we always meant to. When we were just talking about Star Wars before, that's just all we could do. But now that we have the ability to show it to you while we yell about it.
Like the greats, George Lucas, James Cameron, etc., the technology didn't exist to make the thing that we wanted to make until now.
All of our previous videos, when you were watching 30 years or 20 years of Sonic, that would have just all been us watching Star Wars if we had the technology. Look at this boy. Little boy, get a big fruit.
Just so everyone who's on the Twitch knows, the Twitch looks like total ass. I don't know why.
Oh no!
It looks totally fine on YouTube. So, well, it looks a little better.
That's no good.
Oh, now it looks better on the Twitch. I don't know. Maybe something just happened.
Maybe it's your bad internet.
I have great internet now.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting 950 up and down.
Here's a really great change. This is a bummer. This is obviously a Dodrio picture, and it's seeing it as a Bouffalante picture.
Yeah.
That sucks. Here is a thing.
Oh, okay. But let's see real quick. Go into the Dodrio folder. And you have another 2 pictures from this spot.
Right.
So it did only get 1 of the 3 wrong.
Yeah, I know, but it's like I think it's just a bummer because that was one of the biggest and most obvious flaws with the N64 original, and it's like if there's anything you might have wished that they changed. But
I just don't understand why it can't tell all of the things that are in the
I don't know why. Yeah, why can't it just say, and I'll show in a moment, it definitely has all of this digital information in the picture. This is not just a JPEG. It does know what Pokemon are in the shot. Pokemon. Yeah, so why can't I just choose if I want it to be? Like, it would be great if it could evaluate the photo as a Dodrio photo or a Bouffalante photo, depending on how I chose to present it, but that's not an option, which is a little frustrating. But what I really do love that they added about this game that was like a great extra dimension that the original was missing was that is these star ratings. Like, Pokemon in the original Snap had special poses that you could photograph them during that would get you bonus points, but here certain shots and poses and reactions will have different star ratings, and instead of saving one photo per Pokemon, you can save one photo per star rating per Pokemon.
Right. Each Pokemon has like a variety of different things that it will do that the game has valued at 4 different star levels.
Yeah, so
and the goal is basically to like get the best photo at each star level.
Yeah, so here I'm selecting the big photo right here is this Dodrio picture that it thinks is a Bouffalante picture, and it's a 1-star Bouffalante picture, and the picture on the left is my existing 1-star Bouffalante picture. That's my 1-star Bouffalante picture. Here's my new 1-star Bouffalante picture. It's not good. I'm not going to pick it. But here is my new 2-star compared to my old 2-star. I like that one. So we're not going to...
Well, you can pick it just to see the points.
If I wanted to... This is frustrating, though. I have a 1-star, a 2-star, and a 3-star, but I can only pick one to show to Professor Mirror, which is just like how the N64 one worked. But this is cool. I guess I'll pick this one. It's a little more centered.
But it's smaller.
But is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great Dodrio picture.
Yeah, I like that one. This is whatever, but we'll pick it anyways just to see. Ooh, this is my first 4-star.
Nice.
Oh, that one. I mean, here's the thing. This one is like this or this is maybe a more exciting picture, but it will basically count this one as the exact same pose as this one, but it's way closer. So this will get...
That will get the most points.
This will get the most points.
I do like its cute little face, though.
Yeah. But what's great about this one is here I'm picking which ones do I want to present to Professor Mirror for like the score part of it. But then once you do that, you can go back and just select which ones you want to save for fun. And you can even do what's called resnapping, which is really cool. We'll show that one in a second.
Yeah. I was listening to, I think you had already heard this when we talked about Pokemon Snap over the weekend, playing Castlevania Aria of Sorrow again. For anyone that's not on the Patreon, you should get on the Patreon to watch Shenmue and our upcoming
our upcoming return to the end of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow.
Right.
That one, I mean, most of the game's already on there. You can just go watch it, though, so that's cool.
We briefly talked about Pokemon Snap, and you talked about seeing seeing Kato on the Waypoint podcast say something about Pokemon Snap, which I assume, or you didn't say it was on the podcast, so I wasn't sure where it was, but I then listened to that week's podcast, and so
it was on Twitter actually.
Oh, okay. Well, they talked about it on like Friday's episode of Waypoint Radio, and Kato made the same point that you said that he made on Twitter, I guess, which was that it was like the misidentification of who's the subject of the photo.
Yeah.
Which is basically not really happened to me. I guess I've been lucky because we can see it's already happened to you. Maybe it's because I have primarily been using the pointer to move and not the...
Exactly, yeah. And I didn't do that at all in the level I just went through, so I'll show that off a little bit more. And that's clearly like the fact that it's frustrating that it will still misidentify the subject, but the fact that you have control over which subject it should identify is obviously like that's basically the solution to that. It's in the game.
Yeah.
Like,
it is the bad version of two solutions, where the other solution is just let you choose.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. I already got the answer earlier. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they think there's some sort of like skill to like having to have the pointer on the right thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
Like it's a shooter, like it's a rail shooter, basically,
totally,
which it is. But anyway, another point that Kato made was that it kind of sucks to have the resnap after the scoring. because it means if you have one of these pictures that has like a misidentified Pokemon, or if it's like slightly to the left or something, where you can just reframe it a little bit and get like a much better picture out of it, which I thought was a really good point. And then what I think Austin had said was that like, but then you get into this thing where like you're editing to make a better photo, but a lot of the times the better photo actually is worth less, so they're just like keeping the points separate from like the photo album, so that you could just have all your points pictures and have all your good pictures, and they don't just pretend they're two totally separate things, which also makes sense.
Which do you think I should pick?
The one with more points
To keep for my photo decks? You think this is a better picture than this one?
Oh, for your photo decks?
Yeah.
Wait, no, because this is not your photo album. This is just for points. So the more points one.
No, which would you like to keep? It's just like literally which one do I want to keep? Or maybe it does go to my total score.
No,
whatever.
this is not for your photo album. This is just points.
It keeps track of your total points across the whole game, but I think to me the reason why it doesn't let you re-snap until after the evaluation is because the game considers evaluation of only the shots that you took in the moment to be like what the game is, and the re-snapping is more like a photo mode that is just there for people's own fun.
Right, because Nintendo doesn't understand what this is.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't like I feel like I would get a lot more points if I could re-snap my photos before I showed them, but I do understand that like I get the idea behind not it's like if you're judging my photography, I shouldn't be able to use Photoshop, right?
No, but that's the whole thing. Photoshop is photography now.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like, no one submits unedited photos to anything.
Well, but that's
you edit them before they're done. That happens first.
I guess it. Yeah. Well, we'll show the re-snapping though. The re-snapping is actually. It's not Photoshop. Like, it's as if Photoshop was you get to go back in time to the moment you took the photo and move the camera. Like, that's different from Photoshop. Yeah.
Well, I think the point still stands. Again, I'm pretty sure that it was Austin's point, but I can't remember. That like moving the camera around and like zooming in and out and whatever to get a better photo doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be worth more points, and a lot of times getting a more points photo means making your photo look worse, and then you don't get to have the better looking photo later if you're editing for points.
Wait, this isn't. I already had
a 2-star.
I already had. You can see my other Talo right there. Oh, but it's new because it's a 2-star.
Right.
Oh, I thought it would compare a 2-star to a 1-star, but I guess
no. It considers each star level a new thing.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah. Mira even says something like, you discovered something.
Yeah.
And here is now the area where you can go and save that Dodrio picture if you want. But you have to do it now or it's gone forever.
It doesn't
save any previous.
Forever. I mean, when you see the amount of information that is in these re-snaps, you can see why this is your one chance, right? Because I can move around, I can re-zoom in, I can edit.
You have a variable zoom instead of the snap zoom.
I was wrong though. You can't move the camera. You can only change where the camera is pointing.
Yeah,
but so I can,
which is a real thing in pictures.
Well, yes, but this one I can like turn, like I can.
Yeah, that's a little much.
Yeah,
but it's sort of like a reverse crop.
Sure.
It's like if you crop this too much, you can uncrop it a bit. I
do take your point that you could just imagine this as like a fantastical version of photo editing. Like if that was your vision for Pokemon Snap, you wouldn't be wrong. I might philosophically disagree with you potentially.
Yeah. I also I'm not dedicated to Pokemon Snap's idea that like I need to be judged on the skill of my, like, I'm getting points, but like if I can give myself more points by, I love this. When is this ever?
I know. Why would you
anything?
ever use this for anything? Like, I think it's neat from like a game, like a digital technology standpoint, that like, oh yeah, the 3D, like the physical polygons of the video game environment are kept within the photo so that you can apply this thing to it, but it doesn't look good.
I like,
no one would want to
like,
look at this.
I like
just get 8 of
imagining someone who'd be really excited to put like Instagram filters on their thing, and they go down to filter, and then it's just like that, like 8 horrible silhouette things, because that's all that's there, right? There's no other filters.
I have to assume you unlock more later, but yeah, right now it is just this terrible filter with 8 different colors. It's very funny. And here you can see I'm adjusting the depth of field. So like here the focal point is it's so close that everything's blurry, and then I can move it until the emolga is in focus, but the wurmples in the back are blurry, or I can keep moving it back and back, and then the wurmples get focused on if I was stupid. If I wanted to make a bad looking picture, I could totally do that. And then we can, I love this wurmple that's been hit on the head.
Yeah. Wincing wurmple. I think this game looks really good.
Oh, little boy, do a little chew.
I love confirmation that did Game Freak develop this? Who developed this?
I don't know. I'll say, hey, Bidoof has never been so lovable.
Yeah, agreed. I like confirmation that like the Pokemon franchise, in lieu of saying specifically Game Freak, the Pokemon franchise can produce a game in 3D where Pokemon are behaving in interesting ways. Instead of Sword and Shield, where the Pokemon are not behaving in any sort of way.
Yeah, Sword and Shield there. Yeah, exactly. This game is like totally full of the naturalistic Pokemon life that was totally absent from all of Sword and Shield.
Now they just need to take this and put a real Pokemon game in it, and then it will look like what someone would have wanted.
Trying to get these foreground things to, look, you can just watch.
That's bad.
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
You can watch it.
Is it, wait, I think, is your blur up too high? If you turn the blur down,
no, it is. Yeah. But here's the thing: is I wanna. Oh, the focus. That's as small as I can get it. And then I think if I just need to make the focal size bigger. I'm very zoomed in also. Like it was.
That's a good Bidoof picture. That's maybe the best Bidoof has ever looked.
That's what I'm saying is like, people in the past claimed to love Bidoof, but let's be honest, it was all a sort of hipsterish posturing. Like, oh, right. I love Bidoof because he's stupid and underappreciated, and that makes me over-identify with him. But now, in new Pokemon Snap, he's objectively lovable and adorable.
All love for Bidoof was illegitimate until your legitimate love.
Exactly. Thank you for understanding this.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my god, it's so fucking good. Look at this shit. Yeah, the usual, baby. Oh, I love it.
Hey, just the usual.
Good. Just the straight usual, babe. Love it. Good stuff in there. And so this was exactly the fun that I didn't have in like my first run or two of this game, where I was kind of like, all right, yeah, it's Pokemon Snap again, got it. But then going back and like really digging into it, as a Nintendo or a Game Freak game might do, it didn't immediately make its best changes readily available to me. It was kind of like, hey, isn't this exactly the same game as before? And I was like, that's not exactly what I wanted, but now I can see where it's different. I haven't tried the motion yet. Still this one level, huh? Okay. I mean,
go back. You don't have the other level yet?
Maybe
that's surprising.
Maybe I donked something. There's something.
Maybe you have to get to
donked.
Park Night level 2.
How do?
No. I think
wait.
Try Park Night level 2.
I don't have that yet.
I mean, try unlocking it. I think.
Yeah, I didn't even know this was a thing until right this moment. Apparently, I can now do level 2 of Park Day, and it'll be different.
Yep, they are different. Like,
I actually want to do that to see it.
which one did you pick?
Level 2.
You just did that one.
No, I just unlocked it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I haven't done it before.
Oh, okay.
There's a Bouffalant. Wait, no, there's already Bouffalants. And then this is all the same.
I'm almost positive that you just did this one.
Well, but I have pictures like...
Why don't you quit out and go back and do level 1 and see that this is the one that you just did already?
But I have pictures from level 1 of that Grookey and that Pichu.
Yeah,
Maybe it starts the same. I don't know. Oh,
I just from looking at your at how much XP you've got into level 2, I think is what leads me to believe that you already had it.
Okay. Well, I think the research level, I don't think you have to. I think any park research feeds the park experience.
No, it does each level independently. So Park and Park Night each have their own research level.
If what I just did was a different version of Park Day, I literally didn't notice a single difference.
Well, let's see. Let's try one, and we'll see. Well, now that you've got a couple.
Wait. What? If I think Park level 1 is the one I just did, why would I redo it to be sure? Because then if it is the same, we could just go, yeah, this is the same. That's boring.
Wait, no.
It's fine.
Oh my god, you're driving me crazy.
My thing was, I want to pick the one that I think is different, and then if it's different, we can say, we had a new experience. But if we think that, why would we pick the one we definitely have already done before?
You have not done Park 1 on the stream for sure, but you have done it yourself in life. Yes. Yeah, get him.
Yeah. Come on, I know you just want snacks.
No, he will not eat a snack. That's Scorbunny. He's snack resistant.
Bidoof want a snack. Oh, Bidoof sleepy. Oh, here's this thing. Wake up.
Do you not want pictures of the Scorbunny?
I already have them. I don't know.
You're gonna be taking a lot of repeat pictures.
What do you mean?
I just mean there's,
Listen, you can't get every... Really, just what happened is your brain, if you had the controller, you would have gone for the Scorbunny and not the Tangrowth, and you're just You're just
Gotta
going
get 'em both.
through it about the fact that we had different instincts.
You should scan and do the scan thing.
But I've already. Oh, okay. Not sure I'm into this scanning.
Go back on it. Go back.
Why? What about it? I've already gotten this one. Why do I have to keep? Do I research things in this?
Have you
game?
not gotten that pincer?
What pins? No, I've not
There's
gotten
a pincer in the thing that you were ignoring.
Oh, then no.
Okay. Well, that's why you have to rescan. I mean, it'll make you rescan it every time, but there's a pincer in that hole.
I hit R2 instead of R1. Aw, Magikarp. Ah! We got him.
Oh, nice. Got him.
Birdie, have a snack. Birdie, have a snack. I already got this one. Oh. Okay. I already had a great picture of that Pidgeot looking over its shoulder. It's fine. So much cute. Ah! Have an apple.
Pincers hate apples.
They hate. Oh! They love apples.
Nice.
Now you didn't even know anything about pincers.
Sorry, Pincer. I thought you didn't like apples.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
You fucking dingus.
Wow, even Combies like apples.
These aren't apples, they're fluff fruits, and I would expect you to know that.
It's time.
Happy now?
Yeah.
Nice work.
Scorbunny's one of the best modern Pokemon starters, I think.
Scorbunny?
Yeah.
Scorbunny's fine.
Scorbunny's great. Good Pokemon, good attitude.
Let's do auto and then see what it picked for each one. Well, okay. Yeah.
I mean, so far it definitely has picked the right ones. I think.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely picking all the right one. I mean, like, it might literally just be picking the one of yours that will get the most points, like it just knows. I wish this is supposed to be a Pichu picture.
You took a couple pictures. One of them is a Pichu.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
See, this is one of the things, like its misidentification is like, just take 3 pictures. Like, one of them will be right.
Well, but not always. Not always.
I have not had any issues getting, because I played the first few rounds, right, and like was ending with like 40 unused shots, because they give you like 75 shots per run.
This one
I was
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was ending with so many unused photos that I was like, oh, I should be taking more photos of everything. And that has helped me, I think.
This one I feel like, oh, this one is a 2-star, that's a 1-star. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it must be doing some behavior that you can't tell it's doing.
It's doing a little smile, I can see. This one's frustrating. It picked this one because this is clearly the best 0.1 because it's 2 stars and it's dead center. It's very big. It takes up the whole frame. It's great, except for I don't understand why this is a 2-star animation and that's a 1-star. And like here,
it's looking at you.
Like here, it's eating and like I would love to pick this one. It's great. It's 2 stars, but if this one's
Yeah.
also 2 stars, that's going to be more points. So.
This is where the photo album kicks in, because it's like, well, I want the good picture, not the points picture.
They
and
I think
and
there
there's
was
a little bit of
similar.
leeway.
I think there's a similar something or other like that in the original too. Actually, you had your own photo album, I think.
I think that what happened was the photo that you submitted becomes part of your photo album is the problem, and then but it only keeps 1. I can't remember. It's been a long time. But the
Oh wow, okay, that one was better.
There's a little bit of leeway on either end of the like whatever animation that it does to get you an extra star. There's like a little bit at the beginning and end where you can't really tell that it's doing something, but the game goes like, well, this animation has a start and an end. Like, it's not about the picture being impressive, it's that there's like a time loop that's worth more. And sometimes the pictures that come from that bit of time are good, and sometimes they're not good, and you can't really tell that they're doing something. But the game can't separate that out. Wow, Mr. Mirror just complimented your positioning.
I love that other Murkrow one that I have down there.
Where they're both just staring at you.
Yeah, Murkrows have very expressive faces in a funny way.
Yeah. New record.
They just look like if you just look at Murkrows in this game, they kind of just look like grumpy goth teenagers hanging out at a mall. Like, no, I'm just here and I'm sad. I'm here to look sad while you walk by me.
Nice work. Nice work.
Come on, do me right.
You can hold.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Love
Sleepy
a
Pichu.
Sleepy Pichu.
Sleepy Chew.
Sleepy Chew.
A new discovery. Nice work. Nice work.
Wow, we love when that hoot hoot is closer than it was before.
Bigger than before.
Oh, that's gotta be better. Come on.
It's better. It's better in almost every category.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
It even says its only category it was worse is direction, and honestly, hard disagree. I don't know why you would say that.
Yeah, it's because it is not like shoulder to shoulder facing you.
Sure, okay.
Stupid. It's stupid.
I thought because
You've hit a new stage in your research. Keep an eye out for changes, no matter how small.
oh, okay, so it's even saying that changes might be small. Okay.
Yeah, there are different changes that are bigger than others. Some changes mothers are bigger than other changes mothers.
Keith, tell me something about yourself. Pretend like I have to go to the bathroom for a minute and I need you to just talk.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, sorry. Shut the fuck up, Keith. There's a cutscene, you idiot. Listen to what they're saying.
Sorry.
Stop talking over them.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's Todd! Oh my god! Holy shit! That you can see where my allegiances lie. Oh no! It's other random non-specific character, but the one from the original game. I actually do love that he looks older now. Like, they are acknowledging the passage of time. It would be extremely weird if Todd was still a child. Okay, now pretend like I have to go to the bathroom.
Okay, wow, we're so excited to see Todd's here. Anyway, I love to take pictures of Pokemon with my camera, and I love when the Pokemon looking at you, and that is Such a fun game idea to have.
Wow,
Pokemon
thanks,
that you
Keith.
take
That
pictures-
was
Thank you.
that was the production of Keith's one-act play. Guy pretending not to know how to vamp on a podcast for 2 seconds. I do like genuinely my favorite thing about Todd showing up in this game is like how much I truly didn't expect it, because he's just an absolute nothing character. Like, he is literally just the nameless player character in the original game who then got a name in the anime. And so why would you ever expect him to be here? But here he is.
Did they not name him in the game?
No, you picked your own name in the game.
Oh, okay.
But I always named him Todd because he had already been in the anime in America. And because I'm a loser. You couldn't even set up a 3-shot. You know?
With
like,
who?
Well, there's 3 characters here, but the character on the right keeps disappearing and reappearing as a new character. Just have 3 standing characters. Like,
Okay.
Or have more than one shot of, like...
listen, visual novels are a disease. It's not true. It's not.
You've really got an eye for this.
Ugh.
Stop grooming that child. Oh God, he's here to be like, no, Todd's gonna be my mentor. Phil. Why?
I'm Bill.
What are
Normal
you,
kid's
40?
name,
Yeah,
Phil.
extremely normal 10-year-old child's name, Phil.
My name's Phil Milanakis.
Okay, now.
Is that supposed to be a reference to Andy Milonakis not being as young as he appeared to be?
Right, yes.
Okay, got it.
They're brothers. Phil and Andy Milanakis.
Gosh.
Also,
Oh,
Phil
wow.
seems like the name of a brother of someone named Andy.
I was about to make some jokes about like, oh, Andy Milonakis doesn't exist anymore, but let's be, he's probably got a YouTube channel. He's probably got a really bad YouTube channel that. Who you think is Andy Milonakis a Nazi now?
I don't know why you would assume that.
He didn't seem like a great guy.
I don't really remember how he seemed except like a
Or-
prankster.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking, maybe I learned what he was up to nowadays and I didn't like it, but I forgot the details, and so I just have a vague feeling inside my brain. My brain don't work.
Yeah, I have no idea what Andy Milonakis is doing.
You ever
He's probably producing TV comedy.
You ever make? Do you ever remember things about stuff by remembering?
Yeah, all the time. Almost exclusively.
Remembering details about your memories instead of details about the thing you're trying to remember. Like,
What do you mean?
I don't know why my brain started recording things in this way, but all the time now I'll try to remember something and it'll be like, the number 1 thing I remember about this thing is that it was red, but the number 2 thing I remember is that I'm always wrong about what color it is. So actually I don't know what color it is. It's either red or anything.
No, I've never felt this. The closest thing that I can think of is that when I can't find something, I'll go, I don't know where I last had this, but I remember that I was standing up.
Yeah, I know that one.
Or like, I don't know where I put this down, but I know that I was in the kitchen, like tossing it into the air, and that's the last thing I remember.
Agreed.
But it's not in the kitchen, so it must be somewhere near the kitchen that is, that is where I would put something down if I was in the kitchen tossing it into the air. But no, I don't remember things based on
New area
incorrect
unlocked.
information that I remember about it.
Yeah.
And that seems like a problem, and you should not do it that way.
I'm trying not to. Found ya, jungle. That's
Found ya.
found ya.
Hey, found ya.
Found ya.
Oh, you thought you were hiding? Because I found you, jungle.
So
what?
yesterday I was playing more
Enjoy your first time on Bella Silva Island. It's
Bella
really a jungle
Silva.
out there.
I don't like the names in this game. I feel like it's
And we're ready for Pokemon.
What, mirror, lentil, found ya.
you know, I feel like there was a time when where I would be like, we need more wordplay in games. I want to have cute, fun names for things. Everything should be a pun. And now I'm just like, guys, it's been a bit much. We can slow
What
down.
is the pun in Bella Silva?
Well,
You should scan. It's asking
well,
you to scan.
Silva is, it
Oh, you
means
missed
like,
it.
means forest, and Bella means pretty, so it's pretty forest.
Gotcha. Hey, have you noticed two things? One, it
Nope.
shows you a blue dot at the bottom of the screen when it's prompting you to use your scanner.
Oh, I know that. I just didn't notice because I'm, you know,
I also did warn you,
I'm doing I'm doing a stream.
but it's fine. And then the other thing is, did you know that when you use your scan, it'll show you Pokemon that are around. It'll pop, their names will pop up.
I forgot.
One big I say these two things because I've noticed one difference in how we play is that I'm constantly
Scanning. Yeah,
scanning and basically never throwing apples.
that's funny. Well, because apples are like your mode of interaction with the world.
Well,
At least in the N64 game, the game doesn't take off until you get apples, and then you're off to the races. So that's why I'm like,
this
everything
game
is
seems-
apples, 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 apples.
Yeah, this game doesn't seems to have a really tight radius around a Pokemon that will trigger an apple to do something.
I don't know. I feel like I'm having a great time and doing great, and you're just finding problems with the way I'm playing, and I'm like, get off my back. I'm snapping Pokemons. Just let me snap, Keith. I'm just here to snap. You're gonna make me snap. I'm gonna snap on you.
I'm just here to talk about Pokemon Snap.
love this
and
live
the only thing to talk about is the differences between how we play Pokemon
Wow.
Snap.
I'm up high. How'd I
Yeah.
get so high?
You're on a magical track. Make sure not to scan.
Fuck you.
You missed it.
Good. I didn't want to get it. I think scanning is lame.
Okay.
I'm the world's only Metroid Prime super fan who thinks scanning sucks.
I'm not here to scan. I'm just here to see Todd.
I think it says more about you than me that you're finding so much wrong with how I'm playing this game right now. That's what I
didn't
think.
say that.
That's what I think.
It's only one thing that I'm finding wrong.
Me?
No, just the scanning.
Oh, okay. I don't get it. Why am I scanning? Just because it says, hey, there's a Pokemon? That's so stupid. I can just see them.
It didn't say to scan. Well, first of all, sometimes you can't see them.
All right, sometimes you can't see them. Fine.
Second, it had not prompted you to scan, so you didn't need
No, but you
to
said you're
then.
constantly scanning, even when there's not
It
a
is
thing to scan.
it is true that I'm constantly scanning because you don't know that there's not a Pokemon hiding somewhere until you scan and see that there is or isn't.
Well, I guess I just feel like in a Pokemon Snap run, there just fundamentally is more stuff to take pictures of than you ever could. And since this is my first time through, I just figure I'm not going to stress about what I can't see. There's so much I can see. I'm busy snapping that. I'll get to the hidden stuff later on my, second, third, fourth run through this space.
That's the other thing I found about apples in this game. It makes Pokemon run away a lot.
I guess because it alerts them to your presence.
Yeah, I hate it though. I wish they would stay.
Yeah, I really just like in the N64 version, I feel like these apples have really just like they've really made the game snap for me in a good
Love the
way.
apples.
I love, yeah, just having that bit of having an ability to interact with what you're seeing. You know, let's auto it and then we'll see what it thinks. It thinks that one
Holy
is the
shit.
best.
Do you want to hear a new casualty of the coronavirus? If it sounds glib, I don't mean it to be glib. I mean it
Okay.
to be serious. New York City public schools will have remote learning instead of snow days next school year. So they have taken the infrastructure built for coronavirus.
How
and are now
psychotic.
now we don't do
Yeah.
snow days anymore.
Of course, yeah,
I would
I knew
burn
that
down
was
my
gonna
fucking
happen,
school
yeah.
if they tried to do that to me. Sorry, I would go to jail for arson for burning down my school. I would legitimately commit a crime, a major federal crime.
Yeah, and I hadn't been thinking of this school thing. What I did know was like, I just knew that there were going to be so many businesses that worked this to their advantage. Like, you know, I think some businesses have been flagging with working from home and have been desperate to get people back in the office. But you know, some businesses are like, oh my god, we're saving so, like, if we didn't own these buildings that are empty, we'd be saving so much money on rent. We should just have everyone work from home now.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
work from home is just going to be a class of job now. I mean, it kind of already was, but now it really is gonna be.
Yeah, the problem is that, like,
A new discovery.
Okay, like, I mean, I guess if you have to do remote learning during a snow day, then you're not extending the school year into summer. That was whatever. Like,
but
that
they
was
factor in. Here's the thing: they factor in like 5, depending on where you live, obviously. But in Massachusetts, anyway,
that's right.
and I'm sure in New York, they factor in like 5 to 10 snow
yeah.
days.
You have to have like 5 snow days before it starts.
So like,
lengthening
are
the
they
year,
gonna
right?
make the school day 10 days shorter because they don't have snow days anymore? Fuck no, they're not doing that.
For anyone who grew up in a part of the world where snow is not a concern, when it snows and it's like too dangerous to go to school just because like my town, Lexington, Massachusetts, used to be notorious for never canceling school when it snowed. You know, them being like, we take academia really seriously and other towns don't,
And we don't take students' lives very seriously.
Yeah, and we know that, like, I will say, there is this feeling that I have a lot living in New England that, like, when it snows, I look at other people who are freaking out and I'm like, why are you freaking out? It's just snow. Like, yeah, it just happens every year. We're all used to it. Calm down. And I do kind of think there's like a little bit of that to the school snow day thing. Like, maybe other towns were a little too quick to cancel, or at least it just felt that way because, like, going to school at Lexington. But there totally was a time where they should have done like an early dismissal because a snowstorm came on fast and they didn't, and then like a car ended up like sliding on snow and non-seriously hitting and injuring a child, and they had to like on the next day go on the loudspeaker and be like, we're sorry for not letting you go home at a reasonable time, we suck, our bad.
Well, this is the thing with weather, is that you can't really predict it. You can't really predict road conditions. I mean, you sort of can, but it's kind of like if you're going to have a bunch of 7-year-olds on a bus during a snowstorm, or not do that, you should maybe not do that.
Well, I'll say school buses are actually very safe. So it's not the kids on the school bus that you have to worry about.
No, that's what I'm saying. It is actually the kids on the school bus being a distraction to the driver.
Oh, to the driver. I'm sorry, I missed.
Who are now who are driving in worse conditions, and then also like other cars that that bus drivers can't control. that are the issue.
But sorry, the reason I actually preface this with like, hey, if you're in a place where it doesn't snow, you're not familiar with snow days. The reason I bring up the snow day is because, of course, me, someone who hates school, hated going to school, of course I lived for snow days. Snow days were all that you wanted, right? Like it was the magical, unexpected lack of school, a holiday you didn't know you were gonna get. And I loved it.
Love snow too, so it's like
right,
also
and you
a play day,
and you want to go play in the snow. But there would always be these fucking douchebags with these sticks up their asses who would be like, but every snow day means that we have to stay in school one more day into the summer, and I don't want a shorter summer vacation. And this infuriated me because, like, it's so obvious that a day off...
Delayed gratification, motherfucker.
Obviously I have no ability to delay gratification. That's part of it. But when you think about it, it makes no sense. A day off in January is worth so much more than an extra day off in June or July.
Yeah, totally.
You already had all of the days off in July. Like, you don't need another one.
By the way, like, if your stupid fucking parents are making you go to school on the Monday and Tuesday before school ends, like the year ends the last Friday of the year. Every other day of the school year, like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, are bullshit days that you should be allowed to skip, and that if your parents are making you go to school, they suck. Those are not real days. Your mom didn't let you skip the last couple days of a school year? No, I didn't say she was off the hook.
Okay.
Although she actually did sometimes let me do this. Yes. As a teacher, my mom was pretty lenient because she knows that school is bullshit. Like she knows that elementary school sucked and middle school sucked. Like it was very easy to get a day off from school if I was like, look, Mom, I'm just not feeling school today. And she was like, I fucking know how you feel. I'm also not feeling school today. So it was not, this was like the area where she was the most lenient, I think. I got taken out of school to see Revenge of the Sith in 7th grade.
What?
Yeah.
That's a miraculous turnaround for Aunt Kathy, because
actually it was my dad that took me out of school.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
But she let him do it.
Sure. Okay. Because I still just remember that when I don't know why I've never forgotten this, but that when I just remember that she let you watch Power Rangers on television, but then when the Power Rangers movie came out, she wouldn't let you see the movie because the rating was somehow, because movie and TV ratings are different, the movie rating being PG, she was like, no, that means 9-year-olds and Keith is 7 or whatever it was. It was very silly.
Yeah. I don't know what her deal was with movies and ratings and whatever. I understand that she grew up during a time.
Look at this big cobra.
Hit him with a fluff fruit.
Who is this big cobra? Who is that? Who is that? Charbuck. Charbuck? Like the coffee place? Charbucks?
Charbuck. Yeah, I'm gonna get a
pumpkin spice latte. Yeah,
I'm gonna get a pumpkin snake.
He's been chugging that PSL.
I'm gonna get a
pumpkin snake latte.
Pumpkin snake latte. Pumpkin. There'll be something better.
Yeah, just keep working on that one. Please keep going. I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Hey, you stupid idiot. Get out of here. I don't want you. Actually, maybe that's a... I'm scanning to find out what's in the bush. It didn't tell me. See? Fuck you. It does hide Pokemon from you. This motherfucker coming in here criticizing my lack of scanning. This piece of shit. Oops, I snapped. It happened.
I mean, it's really like when the blue dot shows up and you're not scanning, then I'm like, what?
Yeah. Listen, when I played by myself, I noticed that blue dot. When I'm playing on the stream, it just gets away.
Hey,
from
I don't
me,
doubt
you know?
it.
You know?
Hey, I don't doubt it.
Wow. And we're all proud of me for that. We all love
Nice work.
that I did that. Wow, these ancient ruins. That's something. All right, what can I do with these fruits? So these lipards, they clearly don't like these fruits. Oh! They hate these fruits. They love these fruit.
These cats hate these fruits.
Big kitty, take a big munch. Stay away from the fruits!
Ice. Pumpkin snake latte.
The apples look identical, Keith.
You mean when you throw them?
Only 90s kids will remember how similar these apples look to the apples in the original Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, I'm losing my mind with how the same they are.
You love it.
How did they even get the graphics of the apple to look so good back then?
They probably must have just because we know, obviously, Keith, you know that the apples that you would throw in the original Snap, that was just a 2D sprite animating to look like a 3D apple. But I think we can assume that Nintendo dug into the archives, found the real apple that had been pre-rendered for those animations, and then just stuck it right into this game, which is obviously what they did.
But it looks the same.
You want to talk about the worst thing in this game? We already talked about the best thing, the Bidoofs and the apples.
Is it Mirror's Cowlick?
No, the worst thing is that the vehicle that you drove in the original game was called the 01. So of course they're gonna name the vehicle in the second one Neo 1?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's new. It's the new
one.
It's the new one.
Well, it could have been the 02. Because 02 is the number that comes after 01.
Well, could it have been called the 1-1?
I think...
Or the Zero Neo.
Honestly, that might be the only responsible thing they could have done. And here it picked this one instead of this one. Like, honestly, I'm almost willing to just believe that this is the highest scoring one, but I can't in good conscience pick this one over that one. It's absurd.
Lonely Quagsire. Wow, you saw so many Quagsires in this level and you only got one of them.
Well, I couldn't get any good shots of them, I think. That's the one, baby. Oh, okay. So
yeah, I mean it's not new, but it's definitely better.
Okay.
I like that it looks kind of smug.
Yeah, it's kind of sassy.
It's like, no, I want nothing to do with you. That's nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing. Don't look at that. Okay, this one, that's just a picture of an Arbuck.
Oh, that's an
Don't worry,
Arbuck.
but this one, that's nothing.
That's
don't worry
nothing.
about it.
What even is that?
What is
grass?
that? Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Sorry, I'm Professor Mirror, and what's this?
Nice work.
Picky Peck is one of my all-time least favorite named Pokemon.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Picky Peck.
Picky peck.
Picky peck. It's not very inspiring.
It just sounds like what some stupid asshole would name a fake bird. Which is what happened.
And yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Right, but when I think of Chansey, I'm like, that's a Pokemon.
Wait, no, actually, when I think of Chansey, I'm like, why is it called that?
Nice work.
Well, there's no reason why anything's called anything. I mean, that's not true, but I don't know.
All of the names of, I think you're right. All of the names of the original 151 Pokemon, none of them were jokes or puns of any kind. They were all just their own names that weren't anything. Like Arbok. That's not based on anything. It's just what it is.
I just think Picky Peck is trying too hard.
It is. Yeah, well, the thing about Picky Peck is that it could just be any bird Pokemon's name. And I do know that Arbok is Cobra backwards. I was making a joke. You didn't own me. Whoever just watched that and was like, wow, Kylie's an idiot. No, I'm not owned. Excuse me, I'm not owned.
Oh my God.
I am not owned.
Why are you getting so small right now?
I'm not
how
owned.
little you are all of a sudden.
I'm not owned. Look at me down here. I am not owned. Keith, come bring this microphone closer to me so that I can tell you how not owned that I am.
Okay, here. What's that?
I'm so not owned.
Hey, I believe you.
I'm not owned.
How much is this thing worth?
Wow. What? Okay, sure.
Good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I think anybody could look at that photo on the left and the photo on the right, and we could clearly see why the photo on the right is better, more impressive pose than the one on the left. Clearly the right-hand one is a 2-star pose and the left-hand one is a 1-star pose, and I think that's obvious to everybody.
Great timing.
Well, Kylie, it doesn't actually have to do with the pose. Because you could have a 4-star with a lower pose score than a 1-star.
Well, but the stars do tend to be attached to like what animation they're doing at a time or what reaction they are having.
Yeah, it definitely denotes that it is.
In general, if you just take a picture of a Pokemon as it is just like sitting around and doing its thing, that's probably 1-star. And if you've either found an interesting situation or you've done something to make the Pokemon react, that's when it will be like a higher pose usually.
Nice work.
Or like, I guess that's not true. It'll be like, you know, there's a Swanna, and if you watch the Swanna for a minute, it will like sometimes do little animation flourishes that will be like a 2-star pose.
But sometimes those animation flourishes are a 1-star pose still.
Yeah.
And that's how you get a 1-star pose with a high pose score versus a low pose score for a 4-star where it's not really doing a pose, but it's like in the middle of an animation that gets you more stars. Well, Kylie, I think we said all there is to say about Pokemon Snap so far.
There's an old friend of Professor Mirror's and a genius photographer. He has dedicated himself to photographing well, that...
read faster next time.
Oh, this coming from the person who can never spit a Star Wars text crawl out in time.
That's not true.
Yeah, you just got fucking owned.
Hey, it's not my fault that it doesn't give you enough time to perform the crawl text.
Well, maybe not. Okay, that's it does not give you time to luxuriously perform the crawl text, I will admit. But yeah, I guess well, I was gonna say, oh, for the next Star Wars thing, you're gonna have to watch those cartoons and maybe watch Revenge of the Sith, but maybe the actual answer is we need to stop talking about Star Wars for several months. I don't know. Nobody, I mean, obviously Star Wars is popular. Nobody ever complains when we spend an hour talking about Star Wars. When we spend an hour talking about Doctor Who, people revolt. But if it's Star Wars, no one ever mentions anything.
No one says anything.
And I don't know if that's because people genuinely like it, or the non-Star Wars likers at this point have just been beaten into silence by the rest of society. They're like, nobody likes when I say that I don't want people to talk about Star Wars, so I'm just keeping it to myself.
Well, I like to think that I have an interesting perspective on the prequels, and even people who don't like the prequels like to hear me talk about them.
That's true.
No. Thanks.
I went up to the mountains with nothing but the prequels, and I came back with nothing but knowledge.
And we're all proud of you for that. Oh, here's something really important. Remember when Luke calls the lightsaber
Skywalker?
Luke Skywalker. I was hanging out with Luke, my friend Luke Skywalker, and he flippantly referred to his lightsaber as a laser sword, and that made people really mad. But did you remember that's not the first time it's called a laser sword in Star Wars? Anakin calls it one in episode 1. When Qui-Gon's like, how'd you know I was a Jedi? And he's like, I saw your laser sword. I'm like, see?
Qui-Gon's like, how do you know I didn't kill a Jedi and
It's
take it
not
off him?
stupid to call it a laser sword. It's literally fucking called that.
Yeah, a child calls it that in the first movie. I mean, in the first movie, chronologically, in universe. Episode 1. That's why they call it episode 1, to make that not confusing.
We didn't even have time to dunk on the people who think the Phantom Menace is Darth Maul.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on. Well, they're too busy not knowing that it's Palpatine, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. We've got brand new Mario Galaxy videos up on the channel. Go watch them right now. There's another one coming. We've got plenty of great stuff coming up.
Well, let's play 30 Years of Mario Part 63, The Lost Levels 505. Why is that up now?
Well, who could say?
How old is that?
Oh, I was a re-upload. I was just editing out some objectionable content that always bothered me, and I went through the Mario playlist.
Who's mine or yours?
For upkeep, and was like, oh, definitely mine.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, oh, great, thanks for bringing that up, Keith. We really had to shout that one out.
Well, I was wondering, because I just was looking at our videos and I was like, this is so old that I sound different in it.
And thank you very much to all of our patrons who very generously support us and allow us to put out our videos without ads on them.
Maybe it should say re-upload or have the original upload date on it to not be extremely confusing to new viewers.
Well, I didn't publish it to subscribers' subscription feeds, so I just thought maybe it could just be up there and not mention it. You know, I just figured people might see it and just go, that's an old episode, I've seen it, and skip over it. But if they say re-upload, they're like, well, what's the re-upload about? I have to check it out. I was just trying not to draw attention to it.
It just happened that I was tweeting about people should go and watch Run Button to my followers, and it got enough retweets where I was like, some amount of people might actually go and watch a Run Button video for the first time. And like the second most recent video was that.
Of course, great. But our two new Galaxy videos that are up are both good. Go check them out. They're great. And we have another one coming that's good. We've got Castlevania coming. We've got Metal Gear coming. We've got Silent Hill coming. And we've got Shenmue coming. We have all of these coming. They're all coming. Get ready for them. Yeah,
They're
Lynn's
all
hype.
coming. It's Rule 34 all day, all night
Yeah.
at Run Button.
They're all coming.
we have all these games and they're all coming.
Every day I'm coming. Every day I'm in Final Cut Pro and I'm just coming all day. Okay, bye.
Bye. Did you play the song?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't hear the song. Yeah, the
No.
song played and it's over now and we're leaving.
Great. Bye.